Way back now, access my regular. I'm talking things for better now. Oh, things for better now. Way back now, access my regular. I'm talking things for better now. Oh, it's my regular. I'm talking things for better now. Oh, things for better now. Way back now. It's my regular. I'm talking things for better now. Oh, things for better now. It's my regular. I'm talking things for better now. Oh, things for better now. Way back now. It's my regular. I'm talking. Way back now. It's my regular. I'm talking things for better now. Oh, things for better now. Way back now. It's my regular. I'm talking things for better now. Oh, it's my regular. I'm talking things for better now. Oh, things for better now. Way back now. It's my regular. I'm talking things for better now. Oh. It's my regular. I'm talking takes for better. Oh, takes for better. Way better. It's my regular. I'm talking takes for better. Oh, takes for
Good morning, team, beautiful people. Let's do a mic check. Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Let me know how I'm sounding so we can get into this commentary, honey, because it's the weekend. It's the weekend, and truth hurts. Do yes, a do and a do. It's calls for sleepovers and all kind of shit to go on. You feel me? All right, so y'all let me know in the chat. You fun, baby. Let me drop my link for my phone, baby. Mhm. Yes, thank you, Heathen. Thank you, Miss Floyd. Y'all hit that cash out. It is Friday. Somebody done got damn paid now. Hey, Reggie, thank you. Somebody done got damn paid, got paid and can support your girl. Maybe because it's hard out here for a pimp. Y'all didn't heard that in a long time. It is hard. Let me pull my chat up so I can do a roll call and speak to my peeps. Because it's a very intimate crowd over here. They made a body girl. Oh, let me pin my sis coming. Hold on. Let me do a quick roll call here. Hey, ebooks, my love. Hey, Miss Gloria, beautiful. Just Kim, get the hell out of my chat. Just Kim ain't no mom over here. Just Kim. No, you know what? I ain't making you no mom. Fuck that. This woman would surely be on black people's time. I wonder if she learned how to tell time in NYC and bam. You see, this is what I be talking about. Even before I come on live, I get this, I get this bullshit from, my Tony side piece. She's just mad because it's the weekend. And it's my weekend. Just Kim, get the hell out. Hey, my juicy. Hey, my fun baby. Hey, me petite. Hey, me margin. Let's see. Hey, Lady MB. Hey, ask question. Good morning, Tina. Good morning, Miss Tina. Yes, y'all come on in. Hey, Miss Sonya. Let's see who else I got here. Hey, Sanjia. Yes. Hey, Miss Lou. Hey, Chef. All right, I think I got everybody in there in the roll call. Detroit!
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Can you show my thing?
Hold on, let me. You know, I'm getting to. I get to about. I getting to it. Hold on. Let me take that down. Hold on. I get to it. What the hell? Oh yeah, they can. Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can.
No, they can't. They
Yeah, they
cannot.
can. I'm
they,
trying to be
they
true.
can't. Nobody's that. Look, that is slower than special ed.
Let me tell you something. It's some folks over there. See, I'm gonna get a new people a pass, right? I'm really gonna give like the newer people a pass because they just don't know, and I'm gonna give them a pass, but I'm still call them ignorant because you should do your own research and you should know what the fuck you're defending if you're gonna defend someone, right? But the old people that know, that know, like I know that this is a pattern that this shit has been happening over and over again for about 4 years now. Yeah, they're just dumb. They're just slow. Hold on a minute. Talk, Detroit.
I mean, hey, I knew they were going to do that. I knew they were going to say I did this and I did that and I did. I'm like, come on, you people can't be that slow. I mean, I understand that the the catfish and llama is slow, and I know all them people that are possibly be her that are chatting in her chat are slow, but there's quite a few in there that you can't be that slow. You can't be. No possible. Matter of fact, they're so slow they're moving backwards. They're actually walking backwards. That's how fucking slow they are. And they're just throwing it down, and they don't even hear her confessing that the channel was hers. That's okay. I got a surprise for them in a little while because like I said, 1 minute the email is there, and all of a sudden it's not even on the page anymore. Wow, what could that be? Let me tell you something. If this was a criminal trial, you would look suspect as hell. That all of a sudden now the email just disappears. Show the email. Show the email attached to that channel. You can do it. It's your channel, Helmet Head. It's your channel. So put the link back up to the channel. I dare you. But you won't do that because the people will see that it's your email that is attached to your channel from 2020. Oh yeah, catfish and llamas all over the place. Morning, Fawn.
Happy Friday, dude.
Hey, it is a happy Friday. It is a happy Friday, and somebody got to put these fires out because the streets are burning right now.
Go
They
ahead
over
and put
there,
them out. Put them
yeah,
out.
they over there singing "Kumbaya" and all kinds of shit over there.
Hi, Fawn.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. It is the weekend, baby.
I'm counting down, baby. Counting down.
Fun. Before we in the streets, fun. So, bump this.
I'm counting down.
Did I miss anybody else that came in the chat? Let me make sure. Hey, sophisticated lady. Uh, she literally admitted it was her, just like she admitted that Jay was a scam. What's up, Gabe? Hey, Leah. Okay. Hey, guys.
So
I,
did
what's
Trey
up?
did Trey stay up all night playing golf or something?
I don't know what Trey got going on. You know, Trey is just first of all, he's been fired. He just shows up whenever he feels like it at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah. So he working out his little tan. that hoodlum is. You know, he's a whole hoodlum. But we are
with his blicky, with his blicky.
what?
I'm sorry, that was E. Brooks's blicky. E. Brooks,
That
you
was
get
E.
your blicky
Brooks.
back?
That was
E. Brooks.
E. Brooks girl. Where is uh the real Trey? Where the hell is Trey? I know you on the phone with him. Don't make me call you out.
E.
Man.
Brooks. E. Brooks, did you get your blicky back?
You are on one today,
Stop being
sir.
messy, the truth.
Well, you know,
Stop.
I've been up all night making that video.
Come
Actually,
on, you ain't been up
it
all
took
night making that damn video. Quit
it took
lying. That video.
it took me about an hour. You didn't like that video? You didn't think it was very entertaining?
I thought it was awesome. I
In
think
and
you need an
outs.
Oscar.
I do. I need something. I need an award. That was a good one. I was, you know, and normally I don't sit back and like look at my videos and go, damn, that was good. But I did. I did a sexual chocolate. Boy, that boy's good. That boy's good. That boy's good.
Not sexual chocolate.
Fun. Just
I can't.
take the good mood and just let it rip. Let it rip. Baby, I think I might put in a music live this weekend. We having a music, you know, other than the truth. I'm gonna give you your accolades. You do come with that good shit.
Yeah, he do. He do be jamming.
Yeah, he come with that good shit. He come, but yeah, he come with that good shit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
He be taking me back.
yeah, girl. Yeah, true video. She wouldn't explain now. Me telling my video wasn't explain, girl. Well, I mean, hey, I'm not doing. Let me make put a disclaimer out here. I would not be doing live commentary when it comes to that content creator. I will not. And you can, you know, spin a narrative that OD Truth, they ain't got your back. They ain't, you know what's going on. They giving you to the wolves. Or what that saying is, they feed you to the wolves and all of this. Mine fucking don't work with the truth. The truth literally has a brain and a mind, and we have a relationship off of YouTube. So you cannot mind fuck the truth into believing that his team is throwing him to the wolves. No. The truth understands what the assignment is. I understand what my assignment is. And my assignment is I will not be doing live commentary on that gutter over there. But what I will be doing, every now and again, is posting videos. Because I do have my brother's back. He's had our back for months now. But I would not do live commentary because I know that's what that person wants. And I'm just not doing it.
Oh,
So yeah. Fun, you already know where I'm at. You already know
well, I'd be lost in the sauce, so I'm just going along with you say. Okay.
Well, Carl, I feed in. The truth is you a dad or not. The truth over there with some shenanigans. When that little screen right there goes blue, he's up to some shit, y'all. God, I'm so glad you recognized the chitlin because some people didn't know what that was. They let me know people that don't eat chitlin.
Oh God.
Say, Chew, you got to tell me what that is. It's chitlins. Listen, y'all, today is a good day. You know, we were blessed to see another day. It is the weekend, and we're gonna have some food this weekend.
I tried that before. It didn't work.
What God
I
said?
got her old devices and she turned around and got new
Hey,
devices.
motherfucker, how is little Cam coming along? Y'all see Cam? Oh my goodness, I miss my Cam and Pooh. Hey man, Ann, I'm listening to the replay of this
Do
travel.
people still eat chitlins?
Thank you, Miss Ann. Hey, hey,
Ugh,
what you on?
I can't.
Well, you
Mm-mm.
bougie. You bougie anyway, so I wouldn't expect
No,
you.
I'm not bougie. I'm not with the pig feet and the ears and the snout and the.
You bougie. You bougie, flat out. If you okay, what part of the pork do you eat? Do you eat a pork chop?
Uh,
See
oh,
what I'm
I
saying? See what I'm saying? Just
every blue moon. It's been a minute. It's been a while since I had a pork chop.
see what I'm saying? Bougie.
But around Christmas, I will, eat me a little ham.
I know that's right. I know that's right. Yeah, you're a little bougie. I see
I,
what I see.
because I don't, because just because I don't eat the other white
Yes,
meat,
yes, yes, yes.
because I don't eat the pork.
Yeah,
Now
you
I
right.
will do some bacon every now and again, because
Now
I
I
love.
know you got to like the bacon fun. I know you got to like the
Yeah, I
bacon.
do bacon every now and again.
Okay.
I am not bougie. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna start
Uh,
eating pork.
you have been to Dubai, the Japan.
I
Uh, ma'am, you're bougie. I'm sorry. Listen, just like be true. Listen, own your identity.
okay. Do you like sushi?
Do I like sushi?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Now who is this?
Because I know a lot of people don't like sushi.
I do. I like sushi, and I do. I do. Just start cutting my red meat intake, but I love my pork chop. A guy, this girl.
Yeah, I
I
don't eat pork. It's not that I don't like pork. Don't get me wrong.
mm-hmm.
I have to have a taste for like pork chops, and like I do eat pork chops every now and again. Um, I do eat bacon, but not on a daily basis.
Right, right, right.
But I don't eat guts and all that kind of
Girl,
stuff.
don't hate on us that eat pig
Oh,
intestines.
I'm not. When I was younger, I kind of dabbled in the chitlins a little bit, but I'm cool. I've eaten enough
I
of them
get it.
for
I get it. I do get it.
yeah.
Everybody can't do the poke pots like I do. Now
It
we got 56 people in the building. I'm gonna tell you why. Because in a minute they finna leave. Listen, y'all. Y'all gonna have to excuse me this weekend because I've learned some shit that's really got me giddy. But y'all know we're an intimate crowd over here, and I appreciate everybody that support this channel and my other, crime and justice channel. But we just don't have 50 people in the chat, and I acknowledge that, and I'm good with that. I love my intimate crowd, but we got eyes over here. Hey, bitch, that think they finna get some on this line. You're not, so you might as well just leave your. In fact, get some rest. You finna do crime and justice. Now you are a criminal, and you could become Terry for crime and justice, but I'm not doing you.
oh god.
I don't have the desire. Of course, the truth. I'm trying to be good, but you making it. Girl, I know I'm not gonna be good, so you don't have to be good.
I'm scared because I don't. Are you trying to get me in the middle of something? What's going on with
Oh hell no, fun, never ever, ever, ever. You my you. What in the hell did you even put a picture up?
what is
Oh,
that? A symbol of a ain't that the symbol for Mercedes?
no, no, it's just
Oh.
the app that he's on when he has to put a picture. It's just like the.
But don't that look like, is that the emblem? It
It
look like
does
the
look like it just
Mercedes
a bit.
a
Yeah,
little
just
bit.
a bit. Oh my God, what the hell is that? Now I shouldn't have said that. Hold on, y'all.
Oh,
Is
not
this
sexual
so?
chocolate.
Woo, that boy good. That boy is good. See what I'm saying? This is
Sexual
what I
chocolate.
have to deal with. What Evil said, God. Let me see what Evil said.
I gotta watch the company I keep. I tell you. Let me see.
Fun, it's too late. You in too deep.
I'm in too deep.
Yeah, you in too deep. It's too
Oh
late.
God.
Yeah, you have to be jumped out. We'll cope.
I'm ready. I got time today.
You true. I'm gonna need you to start with the shenanigans now. We got to get to work now. You be on me about this work now. We trying to work. So listen, people. To the people that's gonna stay once I start playing the commentary, because a lot of eyes gonna leave. Because you ain't getting there. You ain't getting there. You ain't getting nothing today. Gone by speed now. For the people that truly, honestly support this commentary, welcome and happy Friday. It's gonna be a good weekend. Now, with that being said, so Miss Fun, we're into day 5 of the testimony and the
And
trial of
I just realized you spent Henry wrong.
yeah,
You put a T instead of.
girl, ain't no telling because I'm gonna tell you something.
It says
Even though I
Henty
was late,
Dinkins.
I thank you for, and I go correct it. I appreciate you, sis, because even though I was like, this has been a busy morning for me. Actually, it's been a very very busy morning for me, and I did put that up pretty quickly, and I appreciate you. I go change it. I go change it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, yeah. So back to work. We'll clown later on tonight, y'all. I promise. We'll act a fool. Act a fool with it. Act a fool with it. This shit is funny. All right, so day 5. I don't know who this guy is that's about to testify, but we're gonna get into it. Let me do this. Let me do this.
Who
Let
trying to fight?
who fighting girl?
God is who trying to fight? Ebrook's trying to fight. Why y'all trying to
Ebro,
fight?
Ebro's always fight. Ebro said, all my life I had to fight.
Well, I don't fight. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
You bougie. Bougie as hell.
He said, I'm a lover, not a fighter.
I know that's right. I know that's right. Okay, y'all, let's get into it. Let's get started because I'm not gonna be on this channel all day today. I have to come back. Y'all notice I have not been coming back for my nighttime lives. Um,
I'm
and
lost. What is a blicky? What is it?
I
I
think
hate
it's a
not knowing what's
GUN.
going
I
on.
think it's a GUN.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think, but I'm not. I ain't been
Okay.
following the whole Blinky content, but yeah. Uh, so
Colors.
I don't know who this is about to testify, but we about to find out together. Okay, so let's get into it. Y'all be sure to hit the like button, please. In a minute, the chat is probably gonna go down to about 40. Y'all hit the like button. Support your girl if you feel so inclined. All right, let's go. Cameron Smith.
You can raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please have a seat.
Thank you.
Can you please state and spell your name?
Hi, yes, my name is Cameron Smith, Cameron Smith,
And how are you currently employed?
as a special agent with the FBI.
How long have you worked as a special agent for the FBI?
Approximately 5 years.
And where are you currently stationed?
I'm stationed in Kansas City.
How long have you worked for the office in Kansas City?
Approximately 2 years, but over 2 years.
Prior to working for the Kansas City office, where did you work?
I worked here in the Quad Cities.
Can you briefly describe your educational background and the training that you've received, in order to become a special agent with the FBI?
Sure. So previously, I worked in healthcare IT, and I decided to join the FBI to be a special agent. So in September of 2018, I started my career with the FBI and held my training in Quantico, Virginia.
What type of training do you have to go through at Quantico?
Sure. So there are interview classes, interrogation classes, there are legal training, all sorts of training to provide you with the tools needed to be an agent.
And since, I'm assuming you graduated from that program,
Correct.
do you have to do any sort of ongoing training in order to maintain your position as a special agent?
There are provided trainings to you, yes.
What exactly are your duties as a special agent with the FBI?
So I'm an investigator, so that could include opening cases, conducting interviews, conducting searches, anything that a typical investigator would do.
So back in July of 2020, is that when you would have been working with the Quad Cities office?
Yes,
And at some point, did you become involved in an investigation involving a missing child, Breasia Terrell?
I did, yes.
Can you explain how you became involved with that case?
Yes, so I received a call from Davenport Police Department, and they told me there was a missing child, and they wanted to work together to help solve what was going on.
Do you recall approximately when you would have received that call?
I believe it was on July 10th.
So after receiving that call, what initial steps would you have taken with your investigation?
So my initial steps there, from what I remember, would be we did open up a case formally on our side, but initially we went over here to Davenport and went to the police station and started gathering all the details on what was known so far.
And that it would have been on July 10th?
Correct.
What does opening a case with the FBI look like?
Sure. So I would view that as a partnership. So Davenport was driving it, and we were there driving it alongside them.
Did you have a specific role then with the FBI investigation involving this case?
I was the case agent on the case.
What does that mean?
That just means I'm the main point of contact.
How did you then begin your initial investigation?
So initial investigation would be just hearing the story from Davenport, seeing what details or information they have, and then working together on determining next steps.
Were you involved in any interviews or following up on tips, that sort of thing?
I was, yes.
What types of steps would you have been involved with regarding interviews or following up on tips?
So interviews would have been with Andrea Culberson. After that, if individuals called into the FBI and reported or said they had information about the missing victim, those would have been items that we would have followed up on.
Did you have a role in either assisting or orchestrating any search efforts or canvassing efforts?
I did, yes.
Can you explain the role that you would have taken in those efforts?
Sure. So initially, we knew there were vehicles in question. So I would have assisted with ERT and coordinating those efforts to get the vehicles.
Okay, y'all, I'm gonna speed it up just a bit, and y'all let me know if y'all can still understand it. I'm gonna speed it up just a bit, just so we can try to get through this, okay?
Question searched.
And ERT means what?
That's our evidence response team.
And would that have consisted of notifying Eli McBride?
Yes, that is correct.
And so you were responsible for bringing in the ERT team to assist in executing the search warrants of those vehicles?
Yes, I assisted with that process.
Would you have been present while they executed those search warrants as well?
Yes.
Did you have any other roles in assisting with canvas efforts or searching efforts?
I did, yes.
And explain your role there.
That would have
Okay,
included
great. All right.
possible known areas of the traveling vehicle to see where possibly, if there would have been evidence located somewhere. If we thought there was an area of interest, we could have performed a grid search or an area search of that specific location.
What is a grid search?
How I would describe a grid search is an area that you want to search, and then you divide that up amongst a group of people. Everybody has a responsibility, and then that one specific area is searched by each team, essentially.
And do you recall the areas that you would have assisted with searching?
I believe there were areas off Highway 30 near Clinton.
May I approach, Ron?
You may.
I'm going to show you State Exhibit 38. If I can get this up here. Okay. I'm going to have you take a look at State's Exhibit 38. Do you see Highway 30 that you were referencing in terms of the search on this particular exhibit?
I do, yes.
Are you able to describe on the map the area that you're referring to in terms of the search?
I believe it would have been the area that is boxed in that pink shade.
Were there any other areas that you would have assisted in canvassing or searching?
Those were the main, off Highway 30 would have been the main area. I did explore and look through the Credit Island area as well.
And why were those two areas the main focus of the canvassing or searching efforts?
So based on the information that we had at the time, and also going through or getting some information on where one of the phones hit, we knew that there was possible travel down Highway 30. So that was one area where we looked. Also based on some information that we heard from Tutorius, Credit Island was an area of interest. That area also made sense based on proximity of the RV park where Dinkins held his RV, if I remember correctly. So those were the two areas that we focused.
Now, were there items of evidence collected in either search in the Clinton area or the Credit Island area?
Items were collected at both.
And to your knowledge, did any of those items that were collected in either of their searches have any significance with this investigation?
No.
Now, returning back to the search of the vehicles, were there items collected by the FBI during the search of the 3 different vehicles involved with this case?
There were, yes.
And as a result of being the case agent, would you become the seizing individual for all of those items?
That is correct, yes.
What does that mean to be the seizing individual?
Sure. So how I describe it is when an item is collected, that could be collected by anybody on the ERT team. In terms of seizing, myself as a case agent would have taken responsibility of those items. So I would have been the seizing individual holding on to that property.
So what do you do with that property then once you are responsible for it?
Sure. So we first make sure it's secured and go through our protocol. And then following that, we have these items that we've collected. The next step for me would be talking to our lab to see what items would be important or significant to go through further processing and testing.
And where is the FBI lab located?
That's in Quantico.
Did you contact the lab in Quantico and consult with them on what items should be or maybe the best for any additional testing?
I did, yes.
And what type of testing was the FBI lab considering at that point?
It would have been, I'm not an expert in this field, but I would say they were interested in items that would possibly provide DNA or something of that nature.
So ultimately then, were you responsible for selecting which items in consultation with the lab were sent for further testing?
That is correct.
Did that also include items that had been previously seized and collected by the Davenport Police Department?
Yes.
And was that same consultation with the FBI lab utilized in regards to anything seized by the Davenport Police Department?
I believe so, yes.
I'd like to talk to you about what items were sent. I think it might be easier if we just kind of focus in on where they were collected and go from there.
Okay.
But speaking first about the Chevy Impala, were there different cuttings from fabric inside or upholstery inside that vehicle and swabs taken from the upholstery that were sent to that lab?
I believe so, yes.
And different clothings, I think a rag that may have been found in that vehicle as well. Those were items that were selected.
Yes.
A hatchet, that item was sent to the lab.
I believe so, yes.
And I'm going to refer to it as vacuum sweepings or attempts to locate maybe fibers or hair. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say.
So from the Impala, those would have been the items selected for further testing.
Sounds correct, yes.
Moving on then to the RV, were there debris or, again, fiber or hairs that were found on both on top and underneath some foam padding in the RV that were sent for testing?
Sounds correct.
And a machete located on top of a microwave.
Yes.
Then from the Camaro, again, more vacuum sweepings for fiber or hairs sent for further processing.
Yes.
And a T-shirt located in the Camaro as well.
Yes.
Hold up.
Then from Andrea's apartment or that apartment on West 53rd Street, so these would have been items seized by the Davenport Police Department. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Did that include then either cuttings or swabs from a mattress?
Sounds correct, yes.
Swabs taken from a bathroom?
Yes.
Another machete that was located underneath the mattress in that residence?
Yes.
Various different clothing items?
Correct.
A broom?
Yes.
And some bleach that was recovered from her apartment.
Correct.
So all of those items were selected from the apartment for further processing.
That sounds correct, yes.
So then, just to note a few other items as well.
True.
Was there a toothbrush and a comb, both thought to belong to Breasia, that were sent to the?
Did you
Yes,
hear?
sir.
Okay. Did you hear her say a machete that was collected off the microwave of the RV?
Yeah. Yep.
And then another machete under the mattress.
Yep. Yep.
Now we had a question yesterday. Did they get a machete, and was there one taken from the RV? And now we just got the answer
Mm-hmm.
that there was a machete taken from the RV.
Yeah, I asked question. The son did say he saw a machete. He sure did. And he said he saw him cleaning the machete. He sure did. Yep. So
Now,
it was two machetes confiscated.
yes, one was at the apartment and one was from the RV.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, if she was dismembered, they would be able to see that. Meaning the cuts on the bone will be a sharp cut,
Mm-hmm.
not a tear. Okay?
Right. So that's
but-
what animals call just tear.
Yeah, but again, you'll see teeth marks on the bones also,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're going to see just a cut
Mm-hmm. The whole difference.
or a scrape, like a flat scrape across the bone, means that a tool did it, not an animal.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was interesting. You know
Yeah.
that well again he had a gun, but convicted felons' weapon of choice are usually machetes to leave around because it doesn't violate
Wow.
any probation because it's a tool.
Right. Wow.
So they can't violate you for that unless you threaten somebody with the machete.
Okay. Wow. All right, y'all. Let's listen.
Lab as well.
Correct.
What was the point of sending those items?
To my understanding, to further match DNA.
Were there also a known buccal swab or known DNA swab taken from Henry Dinkins, as well as fingernail clippings, swabs from his hands, from his penile swab that were sent for testing as well?
Yes,
And then were there actual hair follicles taken from Mr. Dinkins as well?
that is correct.
Would you have been present when those were taken?
I would have been, yes.
And those hair samples were taken as well
They were taken, yes.
and sent for further processing, excuse me.
I believe they were, yes.
And a known DNA sample for Andrea Culberson, as well as hair samples from her?
Correct, yes.
And then some clothing believed to belong to Breasia that was located in a bag provided by her mother. Were some of those items selected as well for further processing?
I believe so, yes.
Again, would you have been the person who selected which of those clothing items to send?
Yes, again, that would have been with consultation with the laboratory.
Now, throughout your involvement with the investigation, were you aware that at some point the Davenport Police Department had collected soil that was located from the undercarriage of the Chevy Impala?
Yes,
As part of your canvassing and searching efforts, at some point then, did you find it important to also collect soil?
I did, yes.
Why is that?
The reason for that would be to find a matching or known sample that would be matching to what was found underneath the car. So we could figure out exactly where that car was located and where that soil came from.
And how do you go about collecting?
With our lab in Quantico, and they provided me with a soil collection kit. And this kit included various items to include instructions on how to take soil samples, as well as what I remember, like plastic or glass vials, which would hold the soil contents.
And do you recall approximately how many either glass or plastic vials would be inside one of those kits?
I don't recall. If I had to guess, I would say approximately 8 to 10 plastic or glass vials.
So after you received this kit and reviewed the instructions, how then would you have gone about collecting that soil?
Sure. So I read the instructions, and then based on the location that I wanted to collect, I would follow those instructions, put the soil inside the vials that we're discussing, and then I put those back into the container, and then those would be sent off for further testing.
Now the vials, were they contained so that the soil you placed in them couldn't mix with the other soil?
Correct, they were. They each had a lid and a cap that I believe screwed on each one.
Do you recall where you would have taken soil samples regarding this investigation?
I do, yes. So Credit Island would have been one area, and the other area that's familiar to me would be off Highway 30. Somewhere in that area, there would have been soil samples taken.
And to your knowledge, were those soil samples collected while you were canvassing those areas?
That's correct.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 139. Do you recognize this exhibit?
I do, that looks familiar.
And what is this exhibit?
This would have been the collection box that held the soil samples.
Is this the same kit that would have been provided to you from the Quantico lab?
I believe so, yes.
And the soil samples that you would have taken from Credit Island and the areas around Highway 30, would you have then placed those soil samples in this kit?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, again, is this the same kit?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, the state would offer Exhibit 139 into evidence.
Exhibit 139 will be admitted.
Special Agent Smith, at some point, I believe you've already discussed, you were transferred to a different office. When did that occur again?
I would say that would have been around April, May of 21.
So at that point, Berasia Terrell's remains had been recovered. However, did you really have any more involvement at that point in time?
Not really.
And why was that?
I was moving on with my transfer, and this case,
That transferred to?
Agent McMillan.
So he would have taken over as the main case agent at that point in time.
That is correct.
Special Agent Smith, we had discussed items that were collected from the canvassing of both the Highway 30 area and Credit Island area, and that there were items that were collected but ultimately didn't have any significance. Do you recall any of those items that would have been collected?
Not specifically, no.
Now, that list of items that I had read off that were collected from the various vehicles and from the Andrea Culberson's apartment. Now, you mentioned that DNA was one of the testing options that the FBI lab was going to use. Was the hope that they would also be testing for latent fingerprints or trace evidence or hair, that type of thing?
That is correct, yes.
And again, the items that were selected were based on your consultation with the lab.
Yes.
The soil sample that we talked about, Exhibit 139, did you make any further requests from the lab for analysis on those soil samples as well?
I did, yes.
What did that process entail?
So to my understanding, once those arrived at Quantico, they went through the necessary testing. And reports were then generated based on the soils that they received. And if I recall correctly, there would have been maps that indicated where they believed or similar soils around that area. So showing a geographical footprint of where that soil was from.
So your request then to the FBI, that would have included sending the samples you collected in States Exhibit 139, as well as the samples collected from the undercarriage of the Chevy Impala. Is that fair?
That is fair, yes.
And so you made the arrangements for both of those items to be forwarded to the Quantico lab for further processing.
I did, yes.
And at some point, did you receive confirmation that they had received those and had done their testing?
I did, yes.
All right, thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you.
Mr. Freeze?
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Sir, I'm fighting off a summer cold. So if you don't understand something I say or it comes out a little garbled, please stop me and ask me to rephrase, okay?
Yes, sir.
Agent, how long have you been a law enforcement officer?
Approximately 5 years.
And again, what was your training, undergraduate and postgraduate?
Sure. So I had a college degree, studied finance, and then I worked in healthcare IT.
And then you went to Quantico.
Correct.
Okay. In your training experience as a law enforcement personnel, correct me if I'm wrong, but the best practice in any investigation is to first collect evidence and then identify persons of interest, right?
I would say it depends on what case pops up and what the investigation is about.
Well, in a case involving a missing child, you'd want to collect as much evidence at first and then try to identify persons of interest, right?
Well, the first item that I wanted to do here was get the full story of what was occurring.
Okay. On July 10th, when you were contacted by the Davenport Police Department, you were given a story about Breasia Terrell's disappearance, right?
I was, yes.
And based upon that story, you had concluded that as of that date, Henry Dinkins was someone who had abducted Breasia Terrell, right?
Henry Dinkins at that point was a main suspect.
Okay. Because you memorialized that in a report. Showed your report, would it refresh your recollection?
Yes, please.
Okay, and just for the record, you, when you open an investigation, you have to request case agent, right?
So when I formally open up a case, it does go to another person for approval.
Right. So you did that in this case, correct?
I did, yes.
All right. Showing you a report dated 7/11/2020. You just come through that. First of all, I'm telling you, is that your report?
So this is my report.
Okay, go to the second page. Look at the bottom paragraph and just read it yourself. You know.
Yes.
Having read your report, does that refresh your recollection?
It does, yes.
And having your recollection refreshed, I'll ask you now, as of the time you were contacted and asked to open an investigation on July 11th, was it your belief that Henry Dinkins had abducted Breasia Terrell?
Yes.
And that information came from officers in the Davenport Police Department?
That is correct.
How many missing persons or missing children cases have you worked, sir?
I don't have a number for you.
Have you worked more than 5?
I do not know. This would have been to this. I would say this is one of my early on cases of a child abduction. If I had to put it, that suffices.
Sure. Is it best practice as a law enforcement individual to call out a cadaver dog within a couple of days of an individual going missing?
I would say that's an element of an investigation that could be utilized.
Okay.
Hold on,
Would you
Truth.
also call out dogs that can find people who are alive?
If people are missing.
I thought that
Go
too.
ahead.
I thought that too, that it was strange that they did not bring out either the bloodhounds or the cadaver dogs
Uh-huh.
while they were searching those
Initially.
areas. Initially, when they're searching, when they did the search, it's not strange to have those particular dogs with you.
Right.
They don't normally point it out because they don't want the family to freak out because they're bringing cadaver dogs out. So they just bring the dogs out
Mm-hmm.
and they don't usually tell the family. But in this case, they did not. That was strange to me because if they had brought the cadaver dogs out, they would
could
have
have found him.
they would have immediately found her body there at Credit Island, but they did not.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they weren't available. They're not always available. I think there may be 100 to 150 cadaver dogs in the U.S.
Mm. Wow.
And if you notice, like when earthquakes and things like that happen, they reach out to the U.S. and the U.S. sends their cadaver dogs over there because it's not a normal practice. It's not something that we just have sitting around. It's not easy to train those dogs to find specific things, especially cadaver dogs. I just thought that was strange also that they did not bring out any type of dog from the
Do you
testimony.
think they believe that, do you think they believe at some point? Now, I'm not talking about like further along. I'm talking about like initially. Do you believe that maybe they believe, when I say they, I mean the cops, FBI, whoever, that maybe she was still alive? The reason
I believe so. I believe they thought he abducted her.
Exactly. Right.
Because there was nothing to show. There was no blood. There was nothing to show that he had injured her. That he may have. That he has her being held somewhere.
Yeah.
But I thought that was strange that they didn't request the cadaver dogs to come in, and I don't remember a major event happening in 2020 that would have the cadaver dogs like being used in another part.
Gotcha. All right, y'all, let's listen.
And that's a tool to be used. I'm not an expert in that field.
Okay. You made the decision to send off what items you thought were relevant to the lab in consultation with the lab at Quantico, correct?
I did, yes.
Okay. And the idea was these are the items which give us the best chance to find DNA evidence, latent print evidence, the presence of blood or some other bodily fluid, or trace evidence, right?
Yes.
And just for the record, explain to us what trace evidence is.
That is something I would prefer the lab technician or someone trained in evidence collection to speak to.
Okay. And when the testing was completed, you received a report back from the lab, correct?
Reports were generated, yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was no DNA of Breasia Terrell found in that Impala.
From what I recall, that is correct.
No blood from Breasia Terrell was found in that Impala, correct?
Correct.
You sent off a hatchet from the Impala. No blood was found in that hatchet, was there?
From what I recall, that is correct.
And from your recollection, the hatchet had no DNA of Breasia Terrell at all, was there?
Correct.
The vacuum sweepings, whatever was caught in the vacuum trap and sent off, had no trace evidence connecting Breasia Terrell to that Impala, right?
Correct.
Did you interview any witnesses who actually physically put eyes on Breasia Terrell in that Impala that night?
So I interviewed Andrea Culberson.
Okay. And did she actually physically say she saw Breasia Terrell inside that Impala?
From what I recall, not inside, but outside the Impala.
Okay. So the question is, did you interview any witness who saw Breasia Terrell inside that Impala on July 10th?
No.
In the RV, you sent off the machete, asking it to be tested for blood, right?
From my recollection, yes.
And the report came back, there was no blood on the machete, correct?
Correct.
The lab, and maybe this is beyond your expertise, but the lab does have the ability to test for cleaning agents like bleach, don't they?
I believe so, but again, that is beyond my expertise.
Were they asked to test for any cleaning agents?
I don't specifically recall what that request looked like. Since they are the experts, they would have made that determination.
And again, from the RV, the fibers, the hairs, those were sent off and those come back negative for any presence of DNA or anything from Breasia Terrell, correct?
That's correct.
Same questions, same things for the Camaro. No physical evidence or forensic evidence come out of that Camaro putting connecting that to Breasia Terrell, right?
That's correct.
In Andrew's apartment, perhaps it was you, perhaps it was someone else, used an alternative light source to look at the bathroom. Do you recall that?
I was not present for that.
That's fair. You talked about the toothbrush and the comb that was provided. Did you seize that, or were you the seizing agent?
I believe that first went to Davenport and then it was provided to me
And the purpose of that, again, was what?
to match up with later found evidence.
To get a solid DNA sample for Breasia Terrell, is that fair?
Yes, that's fair.
To your knowledge, was it collected from Aisha Langford?
To my knowledge, yes.
To your knowledge, was it told to Aisha Langford that it was important that this item or these items be solely the items of Breasia Terrell and used by only Breasia Terrell?
I was not there for that conversation, but my hope would be that conversation or something of that nature occurred at that point.
In your experience as a law enforcement officer, had you had that conversation, would you have made that clear to Ms. Langford?
I would have, yes.
And why is that?
So there's no cross-contamination or the wrong items provided to us.
What would happen? What's the concern with having a toothbrush, let's say, that was used by Breasia and, let's say, her mother? What's the concern there?
So from my perspective, I would want a known sample with no cross-contamination.
Now, this soil sample kit, you collected that off of Highway 30, first of all, correct?
Yes,
Do you know how far that location is from the Kunow implement, or the location where Ms. Terrell was ultimately discovered?
I do not.
She'd never been out to the location of the, I'm gonna call it the death scene.
I have been out to that location. I'm just not sure approximate length it is from there.
Did you not take any soil samples from the scene or the road near where Ms. Terrell's body was found?
So I did not take soil samples from where the body.
Thank you, Rice Cake, for supporting the channel. Oh, excuse me, y'all. Coffee. I'm sorry. Thank you, Rice Cake, for supporting the channel. I appreciate you, sweetie. Thank you so much. Y'all feel free to support the channel. Did you want to say anything before I started back up with Barney Fife?
They did take soil samples from the was it Cricket Place or what was it? I forgot the name.
Oh shoot, he just said it. Something
Crick Island or something like that. Or
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
He did take soil samples, and they took soil samples from the bottom of the car. But again, the kid said that they went out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that his car was at the place that they say that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're trying to say is why was that all jammed up inside your car?
Mm-hmm.
Why was all that soil jammed up into your creases and metal parts under?
I think that's what people don't realize. Like when you wash your car, like say you go through the car wash, or you manually wash your car, whatever, however. If you got dirty mud and stuff like up under it, like where those tires are and other places, that's not coming out in a regular wash.
Yeah, unless you get the undercarriage.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, and that may not even get it out because it's jammed in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, let's continue this. Thank you, Rice Cake.
Body was located.
Do you know if any were taken?
I believe those were taken by another agent in my field office.
Okay. When you take a soil sample, just the mechanics of doing it, I'm envisioning you out there with a shovel and putting soil into a test tube. Is that how it's done?
I don't recall the exact instructions that were provided in the soil sample kit, but it's a small plastic glass vial that you fill up with soil.
How do you get the soil into it?
I believe it was scooped with the vial itself.
Okay, so the vial serves as like the shovel.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And the samples themselves are, the size of them?
I would I'm guessing from my, not guessing, but from my recollection, I remember they're about this tall. Maybe 2 to 4 ounces of soil is what they would hold.
You just gestured for me a size. And correct me if I'm wrong, maybe 3 inches.
I would say that's approximate, yes.
Okay. Now, you can just scrape the top level of the soil with that much, right?
It was more than that, I believe. I don't recall exactly what the instructions were.
My point is you can't get very deep. You just get the top skimming of the topsoil.
Depending on how, if you collect them a certain way, I can see where you're getting.
Okay. You interviewed some witnesses yourself in this case in the months following the disappearance of Breasia Terrell, correct?
I believe so, yes.
You interviewed a woman named Nancy Spears.
That name sounds familiar.
She contacted the resident agency in the Quad Cities of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Do you recall that?
Again, the name sounds familiar, but I do not recall all the details there.
Do you recall her calling in saying that she had
I'm gonna
overheard?
object, you're saying.
Sustained.
All I asked is if he recalled and asked the content of the conversation.
He was beginning to introduce her statements.
It appeared that you were about to introduce the statement, Mr. Freeze.
Okay. In the course of your investigation, is it common to interview witnesses?
Yes,
And you do interview these witnesses for the purposes of furthering your investigation.
yes,
And that sometimes requires you to talk to witnesses, correct?
correct.
It requires you to listen to them and develop a theory or whether to follow up on those conversations, right?
To get their story and figure out what they want to tell me.
And if you authored a report that says Nancy Spears called in on a tip line to give information, would that be in the course of your investigation?
Would I be able to refresh my memory and look at that report?
Would it refresh recollection if I showed you?
Yes.
So the report dated 9/15/2020, page 1 sheet.
Looks familiar. Yes.
So have you seen that now? Is your recollection refreshed?
I briefly looked over it.
So it's refreshed?
Yes.
So this was done in the course of your investigation,
Yes.
and the conversation you had with Ms. Spears simply intends to show that what you did with that information, correct?
That report shows what she told me.
She had information that somebody she had heard indicated that
Objection, hearsay.
it's a non-hearsay purpose. It's the course of his investigation. It's just like giving off information to a police
Approach the
officer.
bench, please.
All right. All right. So y'all know what that mute means. Talk to the judge. We're gonna see how long this lasts. Ooh, excuse me. Funberry, you good over there?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. We just listening to Barney Fife.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Man, them FBI agents. It's like when one get ready to take the stand, I can tell that he's an FBI. It's something. I don't know.
You know what kills me is that the defense, they tried to debunk.
Hold on, let me pause. Go ahead, Fun. Go ahead.
It's like they try to debunk or twist their words.
Absolutely.
When I say I didn't personally have a conversation or I wasn't there, and then you turn around, well, wasn't it said that didn't I just tell you I wasn't involved in the conversation?
Absolutely. I get what you're saying. And see, that's what sometimes it's frustrating. I think I'm learning just a little bit better how to deal with that because it's real frustrating. Like, and then and like I say, they have to put on a defense or pretend to put on one. But this is the thing. Like, they'll ask the question, right? And you'll give an answer. Or the witness will give an answer. And then maybe 1-2 questions later, they'll ask that same question, but switch it up. It's all in trying to trip them up, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and then when they ask a question, they may say, you may have to ask Detective Truth because that's her expertise. You get what I'm saying? Then you're still trying to ask me about her job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. But you know, like I said, is the defense doing their job? I
Yeah,
guess.
but they
Yeah.
still get on my nerves.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to allow the question and overrule the objection.
You want to read the question back, please?
Could you just rephrase, please?
Okay. In the course of your investigation, you spoke to this Nancy Spears, correct?
Yes,
And this Nancy Spears informed you that she had information that she heard someone admit to burying a body with someone else, a little girl, at Credit Island, correct?
I believe that's correct. I did not read that report in full.
Okay. What did you do with that information?
So information that comes in, I document like that, and then I follow up if it appears there's any credibility.
So when you followed up on this information, what credibility did it have?
I don't recall exactly what I did following that report.
So just so I'm clear, the state walked you through an examination of what items you sent off to the lab and deemed relevant for a bit of time. As you sit here today, you know that none of those items came back with Berasia Terrell's DNA on them, right?
The items that I sent to the lab, to my understanding, came back with no DNA matches.
And the swabs taken from, and the cuttings taken from Mr. Dinkins had no DNA from Ms. Terrell, right?
That is correct.
That's all I have.
Ms. O'Donnell?
Thank you, Your Honor. Agent Smith, excuse me, that tip from Nancy Spears, your report's dated September 16th, 2020. Is it fair to say then that tip would have been provided around that time?
Yes,
And essentially, she reported that somebody buried a body, or she heard somebody say that somebody buried a body of a little girl on Credit Island.
yes.
At that point, had Credit Island been thoroughly searched?
From my memory, that area had been thoroughly searched.
Had there been any discovery of a body of any person while that search was occurring?
No,
You were asked about the DNA results of the items that were sent off to the crime lab, and specifically the Impala. To your knowledge, was there any DNA from Henry Dinkins found in that Impala?
not that I recall.
Same with the RV. To your knowledge, was there any DNA from Henry Dinkins found from the RV?
No,
Now, you were asked about opening a case with the FBI on July 11th, 2020, and you were shown that communication log that you would have had to prepare in order to get approval to open that case. Is that fair?
that is fair, yes.
That report is approximately 3 pages long. Is that fair?
I think that's correct, yes.
And that would include a summary of the information that you had available to you at that point in time as of July 11th.
Yes,
And so the information you had at that point that you were asked was provided to you by the Davenport Police Department. Is that fair?
that is fair.
But that would have included statements from Andrea Culberson, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
That would have included statements from Henry Dinkins at that point, who had been interviewed on July 10th.
Yes,
That would have included statements from DL, or the son, notorious, of Henry Dinkins. Did sort of a cursory search by Davenport Police Department of all of the vehicles involved as well, correct?
yes, it would have been a summary of information that I received from Davenport to show the reason why we opened the case.
And at that point, were you aware that Andrea Culberson, I believe you had testified, had reported seeing Berasia Terrell outside of Henry Dinkins' Impala, or that Impala, at approximately 3 o'clock in the morning on July 10th?
Yes,
And DL, during his interview, had reported driving around that morning and his dad had gone fishing. Do you
That's-
recall that?
I do, yes.
And he also reported seeing a knife that his dad had cleaned with bleach.
Yes.
And you also noted that in that cursory search from the Impala, that the Davenport Police Department noticed they smelled bleach when they opened the trunk of his car.
That is correct.
And you noted as well that during Dinkins's interview, that he was unable to answer basic questions about where he looked for Breasia that morning, was unable to point to any location on a map.
That's my understanding, yes.
And so as of July 11th, that was all of the information you were aware of and relying on when you made this request to open this case with the potential thought that Henry Dinkins abducted Breasia Terrell.
That's correct.
I don't have anything further.
Mr. Freeze?
When you received the call in September regarding the person who evidently had heard about someone burying a child or a body at Credit Island, you did have information regarding the gentleman with the cadaver dogs having positive hits for decomposing bodies on Credit Island, though, right?
I don't recall that portion.
You don't recall having any knowledge of the use of cadaver dogs and their conclusions?
I do not.
But you recall Credit Island being awash as far as the search?
Yes.
Okay. You were asked about DNA of Henry Dinkins in Henry Dinkins' car. Given the circumstances, you wouldn't have expected to find Henry Dinkins' blood in his car, right?
It's hard for me to say. It's his vehicle. That's a difficult one to answer.
Okay. You had no reason to believe you'd seen video, or perhaps even Mr. Dinkins himself, and he had no evidence of injury, right?
I don't remember any items of injury or him being injured.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Just briefly, is blood the only source of DNA?
No.
Sweat, for example, is a bodily fluid in which somebody could locate DNA.
I'm not an expert in that field, but I believe so, yes. Alongside saliva, things of that nature.
On July 10th, when Dinkins was at the Davenport Police Department and was photographed, he didn't appear to have any injuries on him, correct?
Not that I remember.
Given the situation here where we're talking about an adult dealing with a child, is that surprising that Mr. Dinkins would not have any injuries on him?
Not surprising.
Why not?
The victim was much smaller. It's a child. That wouldn't surprise me.
I have no further questions.
You may sit down.
Thank you, sir.
All right, let's see who's coming next, y'all.
The state's next witness.
Your Honor, the state calls Officer Craig Burkle to the stand.
Another police.
So he said cadaver dogs did go to Credit Island.
So what, did you?
According to the defense, they said cadaver dogs did go to Credit Island.
But when though?
Yeah, well, okay, let's remember something. The tip that they got was in September.
Mm-hmm.
She went missing in July.
Mm-hmm.
So the tip that this person got was from an inmate.
Oh wow.
Because
Not an in-house snitch.
another inmate testified that he said they'll never find her body.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
Well, see, that's another thing that they found strange too, that there was no DNA of him or of the girl, even though they place her in all three of those cars and vehicles.
Hmm. He cleaned them out with the bleach.
Well, he vacuumed and then he probably
Hmm.
bleached when he needed to
Hmm.
bleach.
Hmm.
All right, let's hear what this cop's got to say.
Another cop. All right, here we go, y'all.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? I do. Please have a seat. You may proceed, Ms. Cunningham.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please state your name for the record.
Officer Craig Burkle.
What is your occupation?
I'm a police officer with the city of Davenport.
How long have you been employed for the Davenport Police Department?
22 years.
Describe your prior educational background.
I graduated from college. After going to college, I got hired with the police department. Then we went to the police academy, and then we come through field training phase.
And then over the course of your career, have you gone through just extensive training in a number of different areas?
Yeah, we always have schooling, continuing education, getting training through other officers in different areas.
Okay. What I'd like to talk with you about is the nature of your assignment with the department back in July of 2020.
First,
Were you on duty on July 10th of 2020?
yes,
What hours are entailed within the first shift?
approximately 6:45 a.m. to 3:15 p.m.
Did you respond to a dispatch that came out at 8:42 a.m.?
Yes,
And what was the nature of the dispatch?
responded to a call of a missing child,
What address were you sent to?
2744 East 53rd Street, apartment 8.
Could you describe the location that you went to?
It's off 53rd Street. As you get towards the east side of town, then you go north into the parking lot, and there's several apartment buildings up there.
What's the name of this particular complex?
I don't know the exact name of the complex.
Okay, and I'll just ask you, does Jersey Meadows sound familiar?
Yes,
All right, now 53rd runs what directions?
east-west.
And then which side of 53rd is the Jersey Meadow apartment complex located on?
North side.
When you went to that location, were you to meet with anyone there, or were you simply sent out to that address?
The defendant, Mr. Dinkins, called, and he was reporting that when he woke up this morning, there was a missing child.
And actually, what I want to do is I want to go back to your investigative report. Do you have that right there before you?
Yes,
All right. In the information that you received, did you believe that Henry Dinkins was the subject that called in, or that it was actually Aisha Langford, the mother, who had called that the child was missing?
Mr. Dinkins.
That's the information that was given to you?
Yes.
Did you know if that was correct or not?
No, to
Okay.
this day, I still believe that it was him.
All right. So then, as far as just a child being reported missing, what additional information was provided about that child?
When I was dispatched, they didn't have a clothing description yet, and there is very vague information. I had to meet with the complainant.
Okay. Officer Burkle, let me ask you about this. When you were going out on this call, did you have any information about Aisha Langford, the mother, having initially called 911 and then being directed to the general number over at the Davenport Police Department?
No, I didn't know Aisha was going to be there until I pulled in the parking lot.
Certainly. And then did you have any information that Aisha Langford actually had communicated with communication specialist Mona Varelli at the Davenport Police Department to provide details about her child missing and how she had found out about that?
I did not.
Okay.
Overruled.
All right. So then when you pulled into the complex itself, were there any involved parties that were there and initiated contact with you as you arrived?
Yes,
Who was that?
Aisha and her son.
All right. Describe what happened when you arrived there in the parking lot.
She was sitting in her car waiting for me, and as I got out of my car, she approached me, and she said that her child was missing.
What type of vehicle were you operating?
A marked squad car.
And then how were you dressed that day?
in police blue uniform.
Okay, and so by virtue of that, would you clearly be recognized as a law enforcement member?
Yes.
Officer Burkle, could you describe for us the type of equipment that you have attached to your uniform that you wear each day as you go out and perform your duties?
We have a body camera that is attached to us that records everything we do and say.
Okay, where is that body camera affixed to?
Center chest.
And were you wearing your body-worn camera that day?
Yes.
Would the contact that you would have had with involved parties there at the Jersey Meadows apartment complex have been captured and documented on that body-worn camera?
Yes.
All right. Now let's just go ahead and step outside the storyline for the time being. But let's talk about how that footage then is preserved. Explain the process. So as you go about your duties, is that body-worn camera activated during any contact that you have with members of the public when you go on a call?
Yes.
Okay. What is done with the footage that's captured through that body-worn camera at the end of your shift?
At the end of the shift, we save it for determine what the call is. We determine the length that we want it saved for.
Okay.
Every call, depending upon how it's classified, is preserved for a certain amount of time.
Okay, so there's a retention period that you can select for that footage to be saved as evidence?
Correct.
All right. And then when you return to the department, is that footage downloaded into some type of system?
Yes.
Explain.
When we plug in our camera at the end of the day to charge it up, there's charging stations that automatically download all the videos that we took from the day, and those videos are saved.
Okay. And then are those accessible as an item of evidence when there has been a formal prosecution that is filed and there's the need to be able to view and utilize that evidence in the course of a prosecution?
Yes.
Would that procedure have been followed in this particular instance?
Yes.
Okay. Now going back to your arrival there at the department, when you got out of your patrol vehicle, was Aisha Langford the first person to make contact with you?
Yes.
Did you see anyone else there in the apartment complex at that time, or I should say the parking lot of the complex at that time, other than Aisha Langford?
Not at that immediate time.
Okay. Describe what happened when that contact occurred between the two of you.
Between Aisha and I?
Yeah.
She approached me, and you could tell that she was kind of shooken. She was concerned that her daughter was missing, and that's what she said. Shortly after that, Henry came out from inside the building, and he approached me.
All right. Did Miss Langford indicate to you how she had learned that her daughter was missing?
Yes.
And what did she share with you?
She said that Henry called her this morning.
Who was the child identified as?
Breasia Terrell.
All right. Okay. Now, when Mr. Dinkins came out of the apartment building, did he approach you?
Yes.
Okay. In that approach, did he describe for you what relationship he had to this particular apartment complex?
Not at that time. I eventually learned that he was living there with his girlfriend of 6 years.
Okay. And then who was his girlfriend?
Her name is Andrea Culberson.
Did you, at some point during contact, identify what apartment Mr. Dinkins had been living at with Andrea Culberson?
Yes.
All right. So, with Aisha indicating that she'd learned from Mr. Dinkins, Breasia was missing, did you turn your focus to Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
How would you describe his emotional comportment?
He didn't seem very concerned. He seemed very relaxed. Nothing out of the ordinary for me going to another call.
Okay, all right. And let's just talk about this. With your tenure at the Davenport Police Department, over the course of your career, as an officer, have you responded to a number of calls where either parents or individuals who are tasked with supervising children have called in and reported a child missing?
Yes.
Just tell us about what that experience typically looks like.
Based on my experience over my career, there's a good amount of time that we go to it. The child's just hiding inside the house. So sometimes we find them inside the house, and sometimes they're a runaway, and sometimes they become a missing person. But it's our job to look into this and to try to determine which way we're looking at.
Okay. Normally, if there's a child reported missing, is that child found fairly quickly?
Determine what's quickly.
Okay, and that is a relative term.
Yeah.
All right, so just give us a sense of your own perspective. A parent calls, says, I can't find my child.
50% of the time, we'll find them pretty quickly.
Okay.
The other 50% of the time, they may be a runaway for a few days, a few weeks, and sometimes they become a missing person.
Okay. In your career, though, how many investigations have you ever been involved in here in the Scott County area where there was a child reported missing that was never found?
None.
All right. Now, that being said, describe what developed during your contact with Mr. Dinkins.
We started off a conversation. It was very casual. He said that Breasia and her brother,
We'll refer to him as Dio.
deal. They came and spent the night last night, and when he woke up this morning, Breasia was missing.
To be clear, did he say statement, having woken up and Breasia was missing, what impression did that create for you as an officer?
Well, it was 8:42 in the morning, so at that time I was thinking maybe Mr. Dinkins just woke up and realized that she was missing. But later in the conversation, he ends up saying, "I've been looking for her for a few hours."
Okay. While you were having that discussion with him then, where was Aisha Langford at?
She is back in her car, I believe.
Okay. At some point in time, does she approach to listen to the conversation between yourself and Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
And then describe the dynamics that developed as the two parties are there and you are just trying to gather details.
As I'm trying to gather details, they get into a verbal argument. They start yelling at each other. Aisha is upset, like, "You lost my child. You lost my child." And Mr. Dinkins kept replying, "I didn't lose your child. You know, she's gone, or she's missing from, I woke up, she was missing."
So that's the officer that we saw, y'all, that had the body cam on, and the one that went into the apartment and was searching the apartment. I guess that's him right there.
Well, yeah, he went into the girlfriend's apartment, but he's leaving. He's leaving out that he talked to her before he talked to Dinkins. The Dinkins came up
Right.
while he was engaging in a conversation with the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is, the girlfriend. Did you play her testimony yet?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you. Yeah.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't here.
Yeah, you
Did she say? Did she say what the girl was wearing?
I think so. I think so. The white T-shirt. I think she did. I think she said what both of them were wearing when they went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so
I mean, she did.
But that's not strange to you that your boyfriend is taking this child out in a T-shirt?
Mm-hmm. But the thing about it is, I think she had the T-shirt on when she left. I don't know.
Yeah, she did.
She did.
Yeah. The girlfriend said the last he saw
Mhm.
she was in a white T-shirt. That's not strange to you?
You got to understand, Truth, that she was not awake and aware when he left the house with the child.
But she stated she saw the child by the car.
Yeah,
Right.
she wasn't awake. She wasn't awake when he and Reason left out the house because she woke up. They were gone. She sat up. He came back, and that's when she looked. She looked at the one that saw Reasia standing by the car. So she said, "It's really weird."
I don't think she saw the girl by the car.
You know.
No.
There's some people in the chat that don't believe she did neither.
That makes no sense.
I do.
I do too.
What time was that though? Did she
3:30?
She said she woke up like little after 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
She had to use the bathroom.
Uh-huh.
That's when she discovered that Brianna and Henry were gone.
Okay. So she looks out the window at 3:30 and she sees the baby, I'm gonna call her, standing by the car in the white T-shirt that she went to bed in, and she didn't think it was strange.
She did.
We kept saying.
She questioned him.
She didn't.
No, so she didn't question him, but she didn't bring it up when the police came and looked at.
No, she didn't
either.
Nope. She had a couple of opportunities to step in.
I think the girlfriend does know more. I think
Absolutely.
the girlfriend does know more. I think whatever started at that apartment, and he knew he had to get her out of that apartment because there was more that would hear it than just the girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
The brother would hear it, the girlfriend would hear it, but the neighbors
Because the brother testified that he felt Breasia kick
kick
him.
him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes back to sleep. And when he wakes up, she's not there. Oh, he wakes him up because they leave too.
I believe when that when the little boy felt that kind of a hard kick from his sister,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, kids, they be kind of like in a daze, like in a drunk stupor when they're asleep. I believe that's when, this is just my observations, what I believe. I believe that's when Henry swooped that girl up out the bed
He was. I believe.
and
I
was
believe he
taking her
covered.
away.
I believe he covered her mouth
Mm,
and was attempting to remove her from the bed. When she kicked the brother, he had pulled her out of the bed and took her somewhere, maybe to the bathroom, somewhere. And
I
then
don't believe that he even covered her mouth. He probably told her, "Don't you say anything," and she was an obedient child and didn't say anything.
Yeah, it's you know what? We probably would never know, but I would love to know how he got that baby out of bed and got her out of that house.
and he knew to do it early in the morning
Yeah.
when no one would see him. But he
Mm-hmm.
was. But according to the girlfriend's testimony, which makes no sense at all to me, she's just standing in the parking lot.
Standing by the car. Standing by the car, she said.
If he tried something with her, she would have ran then, right? He had to have promised, look, I'm going to take you to your mama. I'm taking you to your mama right now.
I believe he probably did tell her that.
Yeah, I'm taking your mama right now. And then,
You know what? I believe by the time when he came back to retrieve that gun out his closet, he had already did what he wanted to do to that girl in that RV.
and she was
He
tied up
was
sitting,
on.
yep, she was tied up in the RV.
Is
Probably
Sirius' birthday? Is that what I'm saying? Happy birthday, Sirius. Is it your birthday? Go ahead, y'all. I'm sorry.
see that, that it's,
No, because he left again. He took her to the woods by the pond, whatever, and offed her. He came back. He got that little boy, traumatized him even more, taking him to wherever,
Mm-hmm.
Walmart to get the bleach or whatever. So then that's when he went back to cover up.
Mm.
hmm, there's a lot of gaps and there's a lot of
Hey,
missing
Miss
things.
Carla, good to see you.
My problem is that there's a little girl at 3 a.m. in the morning standing by the car, and
In the
he says
parking lot.
and he says nothing. You don't ask him anything.
She
Like,
said
hey,
she never asked him when he came back without Breasia.
mm-hmm.
She said she never asked him where was Breasia. That's what
Mhm.
she said.
Because he went back in the apartment and got something out of the closet.
The pow pow clickety click or whatever.
Blicky. He went and got the blicky out of the closet.
Oh, it's the blicky. Okay, I said
Blicky.
clickety click blicky. Okay.
He leaves, and she's just waiting for him because the only
Because I
plausible.
believe this, she was already traumatized. He had already
Yeah, I
violated
read
that
this
little
on
girl.
tour. And that's why
He
he
already
said he won't
violated
take her
her.
home. She probably asked to go home.
Right. He's
Mm-hmm.
already violated her. I believe that. So he
Mm-hmm.
was coming back to get what he needed to take care of her for good.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's my thing, is that the girlfriend either she was already
And then she said he came back
again.
and got something out the closet, but she don't know what it was.
And that's when he got the thing, and he
Mm-hmm.
Blicky.
probably stuffed it in his shirt, his pants pocket or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why she never saw actually in his hand what he retrieved from the closet.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the girlfriend angle is really, really
I'm
weird to
telling you,
me.
I believe that girlfriend lied. I believe that girlfriend know more than she knew. And I believe that girlfriend made a deal. Reason why she don't have choice, because she should.
Mhm.
She should. She absolutely should.
Maybe,
Because
maybe
the,
she
the
did.
main fact that when that cop came to that house that morning and she did not disclose to him what she claimed she saw as far as Grazer leaving that house with that man, that was obstruction.
Mhm.
Exactly. She did never mention. See, the story never came up that they left at 3 o'clock.
She was withholding evidence.
And it wasn't
Withholding
until
evidence. Yeah.
it wasn't until they pressured her,
Mm-hmm.
saying, "We know you know what happened, so
Mm-hmm.
you're going to go down for this too."
Yeah.
And they probably said, "We know she's probably dead right now. You do know that, right? And you're
Mm-hmm.
going down for it too."
Yeah, it's a 1 bedroom apartment.
Yeah, and she's sleeping on an air mattress. What, 6 feet from the door of
In the living
the
In
room,
the
bedroom?
living room.
they had to.
You broke up.
She was sleeping on an air mattress in the living room where they had to pass her to even go out the house.
Right.
They had to pass. He had to pass her with the child. So either he said to her, "Look, I'm taking you to your mother. I'm taking you to your mother. I wasn't trying to do nothing." But then the kid didn't wake up. So in order for him to walk out the door with that child, he had to say all those things in that bedroom, not in front of the girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
According to her story, she didn't know anything other than she woke up with shit in her eyes and she's going to pee or something. And then she notices they're not there. Well, how did she notice the girl wasn't there?
Because you have to go, the bathroom is in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's one of
Yep.
It's
those.
one bed, I mean one bathroom. And
So
she
she
noticed
walked.
that she
She
wasn't in
walked.
the bed.
Yeah. So she walks in there, sees the boy laying in the bed,
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't think
You
that's.
gotta remember, first she notices he not there because he's supposed to be in the bed with her. So the first thing she gonna notice is that Henry is not there, which probably from the testimony that she gave, wasn't unusual because I think it was the defense attorney that brought up that he would leave in the middle of the night sometime, blah 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 blah. But then once she got into the bedroom to go to the bathroom and started the girls missing too, that was something that was unusual. And the thing about it is, let me say this too. According to whoever, I stay in a 1 bedroom apartment. Small. Think about it.
It's under 1,000 square feet. I mean,
1 bedroom apartment. Ain't much that's gonna happen in a 1 bedroom apartment in any room that you're gonna be able to keep private. For real, for real. I mean, you gotta imagine.
The apartment next door can hear everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Those are duplexes, so the bedrooms usually are attached.
Mm-hmm.
The living rooms are attached. The bedrooms are attached. They're all side by side. So you're telling me that they wouldn't have heard something going on? He knew he had to get her out of there because she wasn't going to be a willing participant.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he knew that if he went in that, he had to go to the back. So he could have just told, if everything had went in plan, he would just come out and say, "Oh, I had to use the bathroom," and got back and laid in the bed. If everything had went to the plan in his head, he'd have got up and went.
I think that girlfriend knows way more, but she's only telling enough to keep her ass out of trouble. That's what I think.
I think he might have snatched her up and brought her in that bathroom to get her away from the brother.
I don't know. It's all kinds of scenarios about
Yeah, a whole bunch of things, but
I don't think he did a whole lot in the house.
No, I don't think so either. I think his plan the whole time was to bring her to that RV.
Mm-hmm.
Get her out of that house and bring her to the RV. Because this is not the only kid that he's gotten his hands on and brought to that RV.
Mm.
And that man just said, his defense attorney said the cadaver dog indicated cadavers on Credit Island.
Sure did.
Did you guys look into that?
Sure did. Sure did. All right.
I blame the girlfriend.
She's got a lot of blame in this. But like I say, she copped the deal. She copped the deal.
On to speaking to Mr. Dickens to try to get more info.
Okay. Now, at the point that Aisha had gone back to her car, what types of personal information were you trying to collect from Mr. Dinkins?
Every time I go to a call and there's going to be a report generated, I always get the name, date of birth, personal information, address, phone numbers, places of employment, different things like that that we all need for a report.
Okay. As you were going through that process with Mr. Dinkins, describe what occurred.
He gave me his name. He gave me his date of birth. I asked for his address next. He said he didn't know his address. I was like, you don't know your address? And he's like, yeah, it's somewhere down by Ralston, Purina. And that is the complete opposite side of the city that we're on. I said, okay. And I was like, what's your phone number? And he's like, I don't know my phone number either. I was like, how do you not know your phone number? And he's like, well, hold on a minute. And he looked up his phone and he proceeded to find his phone number and gave it to me then.
Okay. Are telephones a device that become very important tools for law enforcement during the course of investigations?
Yes.
Explain.
They're basically a digital footprint of yourself. Everything you do is pretty much becomes saved on that phone. Every text you send, every thing you Google, everything that you do on that phone, it's a digital footprint that follows you around forever.
All right. And that being said, did this cell phone of Mr. Dinkins actually become very important in the course of the investigation?
Yeah.
All right. Is the telephone then associated with the phone that he has very important?
Yes.
And in the course of investigations, do law enforcement then take those telephone numbers and apply for search warrants?
Yes.
Okay. Now, within the context of that conversation, then, did you speak to him about just your own experience as an officer when people call in and say that their children are missing?
Yeah, I did. I said, hey, don't be offended by this, but based on my experience doing this job, a lot of times the kids are still inside the house. I go, would you mind if I go into the apartment one more time and take a look?
What was his response to that request?
He said he already looked. Sure.
Okay. Where did you proceed at that point?
We walked back to the apartment door, and we were greeted outside the front door by his girlfriend, Andrea.
Okay. Officer Burkle, I'd like for you to come down to the diagram so that we've got some perspective where that front door to apartment number 8 is relative to the parking lot, and also Costco, because we've had discussions about Costco. What I'll have you do, I'm going to have you just erase this area that has been drawn over by Eastern and Veterans. But let's leave everything here relative to River Drive and Credit Island. All right. I know it doesn't give you much space to, it looks like we used a marker that wasn't a dry erase marker for the diagram.
What do you want me to show here?
All right, show us where the apartment building is situated. Place Costco, show us where we would access the door, and then just give us a perspective of the parking lot where individuals who live in that building would park. And we're going to just use this small area down here. It's not the best I know.
Can I cross this out?
Yes.
Because this isn't Eastern Avenue anymore. We have Veterans up here to the north. We'll have Jersey Ridge down here. So 53rd Street. So we're gonna
And then just
pull up in here, and it's a little longer entrance. We got to go up. There's a bunch of buildings. pull into the entrance right here, pull in, this is all parking lot right here. This is all parking lot. This is their building right there.
All right, and then provide in Costco so that we know where Costco is located at.
Tree line right here, Costco.
All right, okay.
Officer, if you could please just step off to the side, point that out to me again.
Yeah, let's walk through that.
It's
And then-
very difficult. I know with the board and positioning yourself, but if you'd step off to the side and just show that to me so I can see what you were discussing.
And then Officer Burkle, what I'll do is we'll walk this for purposes of our written record. Over there behind your seat, there's a pointer. Can you see that, Officer Burkle, on the witness stand? Okay, all right. Now, as we're looking at the diagram, have you drawn Jersey Ridge?
I did.
What direction does Jersey Ridge run?
North-south.
All right, and then does 53rd intersect to Jersey Ridge?
It does.
What direction does 53rd run?
This goes east-west. You gotta disregard this north up here. North is actually gonna be this way. So
Certainly. Now, is the apartment complex located on the north side of 53rd or the south side of 53rd?
North-side.
Okay, and then can you show us on the diagram just generally where you had depicted the drive going into the apartment complex and just some samples of buildings that you had drawn?
So that's the entrance right there. There's multiple pods. There's hundreds of apartments in there.
Sure.
There's multiple pods, and all of them, as you come in, will be apartment, apartment, apartment. Then it starts to dip back and goes apartment, 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 apartment. Then it comes back towards the entrance. And then you'll keep driving down, it's the same thing. As you pull in, this is all parking lot right here. And the building is right there with the tree line and Costco behind it.
Okay, and then for purposes of our the building where apartment number 8 was situated?
East.
East, okay. Now, in that parking lot area, do you access the front door from that parking lot, or do you have to go somewhere else to access the front door to apartment number 8?
There's 4 apartments on the front of the apartment, and then there's 4 on the back. This is apartment 8. You have to walk around to the back to access their apartment.
Okay, so then essentially, would it be on the Costco side of that physical structure?
Yes.
Okay, all right, go ahead and take your seat, and thank you for that. I appreciate that. Okay. Officer Burkle, when you had reiterated that you would like to take another look, at the point that you proceeded back to apartment 8, what did Mr. Dinkins do?
He walked back there with me.
Okay, now, is there a sidewalk that runs the distance
Yeah.
to the backside of that building?
The whole thing is, yeah, there's sidewalks that get you to each apartment on the front side and the back side.
Did you have any sense of the proximity of Mr. Dinkins to yourself as you approached apartment number 8?
He was near me,
Okay.
within 5-10 feet.
And then describe what happened when you got to apartment number 8.
Andrea was standing outside. I think we knocked. We knocked on the door. Andrea came down. I identified myself. I was in uniform. I explained to her, I said, based on my experience, a lot of times these kids are hiding inside the house or apartment. I go, would you mind if I come in and take another look? She looked at me, and then she pointed at Henry, and she's like, did he say that's okay? And I looked, and I was like, yeah. And she's like, okay, come in. And so I went in. It was a small apartment. It's a 1-bedroom apartment. I didn't see any indication of her being in there.
Okay, Officer Burkle, with you being inside apartment number 8, was there anything about the condition of the apartment that would have given you pause for concern? And let me be more specific. Was there anything in that apartment that would suggest that something terrible had happened in the apartment?
Not at that time. I mean, I'm just looking for, to make sure she's not there.
Okay, so does it look like a normal apartment?
Yeah.
All right. Did you check closets?
Yes.
And of course, you indicated under the bed.
Nope.
Would you even check cupboards?
I didn't look inside cupboards, no.
Okay, but she's not there.
Right.
While you were up there checking the apartment, did Mr. Dinkins come into the apartment?
No.
And so when you had gone in to check, had you lost sight of where he was at?
Yes.
Describe then what you discovered.
As I was only in there for 5 minutes,
Mhm.
you know, as I came back outside, I need more information from Henry. I believe he's the complainant who called me wanting to file this missing person report, and I don't have a lot of information yet. So I come outside and I'm like, where's Henry at? And I go to the front of the building, the side, I don't see him anywhere.
Okay. What do you do at that point?
I ended up calling him with a number that he provided to me.
Okay. And then when you called Mr. Jenkins with the number that he provided to you, did he answer that phone?
No,
Okay. Was that the only call then that you made to him throughout the course of that morning?
no, I made 6 phone calls in that first hour.
And in those 6 calls that you made in that first hour, did he ever pick up any of those calls?
He did not, and I was unable to leave a message because his voice box was full.
Okay. At some point then, do you try to contact him in a different way?
I do.
Explain.
I ended up texting him, identifying myself as Officer Burkle, because obviously he wouldn't have my phone number. And I said, I need him to call me back so I can get more information so I can file this report.
Okay. What time did you send the text?
It was 10:43, I believe, so a little over 2 hours after the initial call came in.
All right. Thank you for bringing that up. There's been testimony offered that Aisha Langford's conversation with Mona Varelli occurred at 8:29. Did you get dispatched after 8:29 a.m.?
Yes.
All right. Will your body-worn camera, does it have any type of date or time that appears on that footage to give us a perspective of when your initial contact would have occurred with the parties?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then, did Mr. Dinkins ever return your text?
Never returned my text. He called me at 12:04, and when he called me, he told me that he's walking into the police department.
Okay. Now, do you do a search of the area out there?
Yeah.
Describe the search that you conducted.
Earlier, things just aren't sitting right. And so I contacted my supervisor, Sergeant Willie, and I said, things just aren't adding up here. And so he came out, then we called for more officers. And we eventually got a picture from Aisha of what Breasia looked like. And like I said, there's, a few hundred apartments out there and businesses. So we went knocking on every single door, and some answers, some no answers, but we were looking for her, and nobody had seen her, and nobody had seen anything suspicious. And so we were just looking for more answers.
Okay. If you were to compare the dynamics of this missing child report to prior missing child reports that you'd handled in the past, how would you compare your feeling?
Like I said, something just wasn't sitting right with me. We had gone to different lengths that I had never personally done in 19 years at that time. Then we ended up getting drones out, searching fields, going to businesses, because it's on 53rd Street, going to different neighborhoods, things like that.
Okay. Was that entire area along 53rd Street to include both commercial businesses, but also residential areas, canvassed and searched by law enforcement?
Yes.
Did the Detective Bureau end up coming out that morning?
Yes.
Okay. And if you could just give us a sense of just the manpower and how they were responding out to the area when things weren't sitting right with officers, how would you describe that?
As the day went on, just more officers kept coming and coming as we were, as sources were needed.
Sure.
We had a lot of ground, a lot of area to cover, and we just kept, more officers kept coming to help.
Okay. And were there any breaks at all to give any indication of where Breasia was at?
No.
All right. Now, let's talk about Aisha. So Aisha had left with the Torias. When you contacted her, did she give you an indication of collecting information for law enforcement to utilize?
Yes.
And what had she been collecting for law enforcement to utilize?
Well, I contacted her to get it because she had left prior to me being able to speak to her about it because she was frustrated. And then I tried to get a little background on the story. When Breasia went over, when DL went over, and she provided that to me. She said, and then I said, you got pictures? Because we need pictures of what Breasia currently looks like.
Okay. Now, Aisha has testified at this point in time, and she described a narrative of events. Let me ask you this. Did she indicate what date Mr. Dinkins had come into contact with DL and Breasia?
Yes.
And what was your understanding relative to July 10th?
Mr. Dinkins went over to the grandmother's house to pick up DL. And while he was there, they asked if anybody else wanted to go. And Breasia and the older brother both wanted to go. But Mr. Dinkins said that he'll take Breasia, but he's not taking the older brother.
Okay. All right. And then from there, then, was there a discussion about how she found out Breasia was purportedly missing?
How did she find out?
Right.
Yeah, she said she received a phone call that morning
From who?
from Mr. Dinkins that he woke up and Breasia was missing.
And then did she share with you any information about what DL told her after they left the apartment complex that morning and she went to look for pictures?
So after their verbal argument, when she took DL back to the car and they left, DL told her that Mr. Dinkins came into the room that Breja and DL were sleeping in and woke Breja up and said, "Let's go." And she got up and left.
Okay. And then did DL indicate whether or not he'd ever seen Breja again after that?
No, he said he started crying, went back to sleep, and he never woke back up until Andrea came in and during daylight time, sometime in the morning.
And then did you have a chance to speak with DL about those particular topics?
Yeah.
And what was that, what DL confirmed for you?
Yeah.
All right. Did you also have an opportunity to speak with Andrea Culberson?
Yes.
Did Andrea Culberson provide you a description of what had occurred the previous evening after the children had arrived there at the apartment complex?
Yeah.
All right. And then did she give you a timeline of what had occurred early that morning when she woke up and what she discovered?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what was your understanding of the time that she had woken up?
Due to being a one-bedroom apartment, they let the kids, both Breja and Dale, sleep in the bed while her and Mr. Dinkins laid on the air mattress out in the living room. She said she woke up around 3 o'clock, noticed Mr. Dinkins was no longer there, and but she noticed his phone was still at the apartment, so she never called him.
Okay. And then did she notice Breja gone at that point?
She said, yeah, Breja was gone at that point.
Let's talk about Mr. Dinkins and what he was wearing at the apartment complex.
Ms. Cunningham, I apologize for
Sure.
the interruption, but I think this will be a natural break.
Sure.
In your questioning, we will take our mid-morning break. We'll be in adjournment for 15 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Red flag, ding, ding, bonfire. All right. Let's see what's next. I think.
So wait, now that the boy said that he woke her up and then they left and he went back to sleep. Well, he cried and then went back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time that they were looking for the child, the boy told them that he woke her up and they left.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where did he go for 4 hours or 3.5 hours? Because the cop said that he was gone and he didn't return his phone call until 12 o'clock. That's enough time to clean all 3 vehicles. Including the RV.
So wait a minute. Say that again, did you? Because I walked up, I heard you, but then I missed the latest part.
I said, where did he go for 3.5 hours?
Uh-huh.
He didn't return the policeman's call until after 12.
Mm-hmm. He probably had to go tie some strings up.
That's what I'm saying. He had enough time to clean all of those cars.
Yeah.
The 2 cars, and because by that time the police were gone. So he could have gotten the Camaro, or he could have, which he probably already had cleaned at least one of those cars before the police were even called.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm listening to myself.
So he leaves in the red car, cleans that car up, goes to the RV, cleans that car up. Because remember, well, no, he had already been to the RV with the boy at 6 a.m. So what was he doing for 3.5 hours that the cops didn't know where he was? And remember, she said the son, as when she got in the car and left, the son started telling her, yeah, well, he came in and woke, Bree up, and they left. That wouldn't, hell, right there, I'd be looking for him. I'd have called every one of my cousins. Find that fat motherfucker
Mm-hmm.
and drag his ass back here, and don't let him leave until he tells you what he did to my baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's my thing. The police already knew when they got the information.
Absolutely.
Remember, he kept saying things didn't sit right with me. The things just didn't sit right with me. So the police were already suspicious. And the fact that nobody had a picture, nobody knew what she was wearing.
Mm.
Well, Mr. Dinkins, you gave her a white T-shirt, so you should have known what she was wearing, and you put her in the car in a white T-shirt. So how do you not know what she's wearing?
Well,
So he went to the police station and never left.
yep. All right, let's see.
On this recording. Is this just a portion that would show your contact with Aisha Langford, Mr. Dinkins, and Andrea Culberson, and then what you started to do shortly after you exited that apartment?
Yes,
And is that an accurate depiction of what was documented on your body-worn camera?
yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move to introduce State's Exhibit 127.
No objection.
Exhibit 127 will be admitted.
Your Honor, may we publish
You
this
may.
exhibit? Thank you.
Your mom? Okay.
Langford, LA, NK, FORD,
Date of birth?
8/28 of 1991,
Address?
614 West 63rd Street, apartment number 1,
Phone number?
563
Yep.
676 4247.
And Henry lives here.
Yeah, I guess so. This is where he told me to come.
Okay.
He don't even know how long she's even been gone.
Yeah. What's your daughter's name?
Breasia, BREA,
EA.
SIA.
BREASIA.
Yes.
Okay.
Terrell, TERRELL.
Okay. What's your middle initial?
D.
Her date of birth?
12/4/09.
Okay. What's up, Henry? So when was the last time you saw her?
She was in the house.
Yeah, when was the last time you saw her?
9:30.
Last night?
9:30.
Okay. Okay.
With him.
Okay. When was the last time you saw her?
She was in the bed when almost come to one.
She was in the bed?
Yeah.
When you went to bed last night? Okay.
This is crazy, man. This is like, you know what I'm saying? I know she fucking going fucking hysterical, big brother.
Yeah. DIN.
KINS.
Your date of birth, Henry?
August 2nd, 72.
Is this your home address?
No.
What's your address?
It's down by Boston Carino.
I just
Yeah, I just know that.
You don't know your
I don't know
address?
the full address.
Do you know your phone number?
Hell no, I don't know that either. I swear to God, I don't.
Henry, you don't know where your daughter is, you don't know your address, and you don't know your phone number.
For real. I'm finna
So,
give it to you
bud,
now. You think I'll be lying, but
well, no, it's kind of
I don't call myself.
I know, but you got to know your number. You got to know your address.
I don't.
So this is your girlfriend's address here?
This is for it.
Okay.
Okay, here go my phone number here.
I bet people banging on it.
563
Yep.
726 4078.
4078?
4078.
Okay, what was she last wearing?
In the bed.
What you have on some shorts?
What color?
I don't remember. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you.
What's her height and weight, you think?
She's a little taller than he is.
She's just.
Okay.
She's a little taller than that. She's probably not like this. Yeah.
Okay, what's her hair look like?
She has dreads. Long.
Dreads.
Long.
Long and dreads hair?
Yep.
Like shoulder length or
Down.
middle of the back?
Down here.
Okay. Mid-back, dreads, right? Is that how we would
Yes.
label that?
Yes. The white shirt.
All white?
All white t-shirt. Yep.
And you guys don't have alarms or anything on your doors if the door's open? Okay. And listen, I know this sounds dumb. I've lost my kids too.
Right.
Okay. Actually, mine just happened last week, and we went back in and we found them in the bedroom.
No, we just searched.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to who have you called? What doors have you knocked on?
I don't know these people out here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But I called her.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And she told me she was at work. At first, I was riding around looking. Then me and my son started riding around looking.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And then
So how long ago has it been? An hour?
It's been a couple hours.
Couple hours?
Couple hours.
Okay.
Couple hours.
Have we called grandmas? Have we called cousins?
That's what I just asked. She the one. I don't know all that. She knows all that. She knows all that. Not me.
Okay. Do we have a picture?
She does.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. She got the picture, bro.
Who's the girl that lives here? Andrea? What's Andrea's last name? Culberson.
You need a picture of it.
You don't have nothing with you right now. Okay, that's fine. Have we called family?
I've called everybody. I have my
Okay.
uncle out riding around. My mom's
Man,
on the way out here. My
We've been
friend's on the way
everywhere.
out
We've
here.
been every
Okay.
fucking way.
And she's gonna be with a friend inside some apartment.
That's
most
why I
likely.
said I'm gonna still look.
Okay.
We don't know anybody out here. So that's
Yeah.
me. She would have never.
How many?
She would have never. First of all, she would have never woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and she would have never.
What you mean?
She
8 o'clock in the
I'm
morning.
just saying.
That ain't what I
She
said. I never
I know
said.
you
Guys,
didn't say that.
this isn't the time to fight.
Exactly. I don't give a fuck about you walking,
Listen,
nigga. You
man.
lost her though.
How did I fucking lose?
Because you was watching her, Henry. What the fuck do you mean?
But hey,
I'm going, sir. Come on, D.
listen to me.
Fuck that. I'm going.
Well, you guys gotta come together right now. This isn't a time to fight about it. Okay. So, well, hey, if you, how am I supposed to? What do you want me to do?
I got everything. I got everything. See how she stepped on me. You know
I mean,
like I
got no picture. I got no. What do you want me to do?
What am I supposed to do?
Right.
You know what
I
I'm saying?
get
All
it,
I have to do is
Henry.
look.
I get it.
All I can do is look.
I get it, Henry. Henry, let's go inside the apartment one more time. Look, this happens more often than you think. I mean, well, I understand why she's upset. But when I'm trying to help, she can't run away from me. I don't.
And deal with the issue.
Yes.
You got to keep a level head.
Yeah.
You know that. I learned that a long time ago. Fuck, man.
How many times have you guys stayed out here?
How many times have I been out here? Yeah, this is their first time.
Oh, it's the very first time she's ever stayed here. And so she
I've been over here, but they never stayed.
has never stayed here.
Like I said,
So I wonder just. I mean,
this is such a small.
we got.
She's not in our left. I'm fucking mad. She gonna open the door now. She's gonna open.
What's her name?
She's gonna open.
Where the fuck are you going?
Hi there. Are you Andrea?
Yeah.
Okay, Andrea.
See that move right there for me, cop and all, would have been like, okay, so like you said, D-Tree, where the fuck you going? Like, why you ain't coming in the house?
Right.
Why
He's
you
just reek
going?
of guilt
Oh yeah, from gay.
from
Gay.
And
First
shit,
of all,
And
what
we
grown
watched this, when we watched
person?
this, when we first started, I told you, when I watched this, I was like,
Right, but what grown person, one, don't know their address, two, don't know their own phone number?
he did not want to give them this address because he knows
Okay, fine. You don't know
he's
your
not
phone
registered. He's not registered at this to be
number?
at this
Okay, fine.
address.
And what's the excuse of you not knowing your damn phone number?
I don't. What I'm saying is because children live in this place, and he's a tier 3 sex offender, he would have to register immediately because children live here. and the people would have to be notified in the office. I'll bet you any amount of money, her name is on that lease, not his.
Oh yeah.
Because he doesn't even come up with an address when I looked him up. His address is old as hell. So in order for him to live in a complex like this, he had to register this complex, and the complex had to be notified. And I'll guarantee that this is a government housing facility, which means he can't live there.
I bet you she ain't there neither. I bet you she got.
I'll guarantee she ain't there no more right now. But my thing is, in a government housing facility, sex offenders are not allowed to live there.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be a registered sex offender and be on a lease. They're not going to allow it.
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute, cause now I get it. Registered sex offender can't be on the lease. Okay, so how are they supposed to get somewhere to stay? Not that I'm taking up for them. I'm just saying, like,
okay, as far as government subsidized housing, I'll guarantee that's government subsidized housing that she's living in. So she's getting assistance to be there because first off, she looked like she's a little slow.
But she had a full-time job though. She's worked for AT&T as a customer service rep.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't necessarily mean she was on government assistance.
Yeah, but even that, is she making enough to
no,
pay
because the thing about it is she worked for AT&T. I don't think they said she had any kids. If she did, they're not in the home with her. I don't see her being on subsidized.
I don't either.
Government assistance. I don't see that. But I mean, we don't know for sure.
Right. And
but
it's
I don't
one
see
bedroom. So it's just her. So and she works a full-time job.
Does she?
Yeah, because I think with government
she
housing,
works for AT&T. She's a customer service rep.
Right.
Works from home.
May have to do a check on her too. But I'm just saying that he can't be. So when it comes to sex offenders like that, there's too many kids in there. There's too many kids in there. So they usually they go somewhere. It's not an area like this. And if it is, she may have just gotten an apartment and she doesn't get any subsidized, but it's a low income home. You see what I'm saying? So it's a low income rental that she happened to get into. You still
we
can't
know that for facts, or are we just assuming?
I mean, look at the place.
No, we can't even go by the look of the place, man. I need facts. Is this actually? I'm not gonna put this woman because she's black and look kind of homely looking that she's in a sub. No, I'm not doing that.
Let me find the address.
I'm not gonna do that.
Let me find the address because something is wrong here. He's definitely not on those leases, and it could be based on your income.
Mm-hmm. Juicy Kim, I understand that, but I'm just not gonna automatically prejudge a person just because the way they look, and because
looking at her,
because the apartments don't look
in the
bad.
circumstances, as far as she having a full-time job, no minor kids in the home, and I'm thinking, I'm saying I don't think she's on housing. I don't think she is. But that's
if he was on the lease, right?
I doubt if I'm not saying he's on the lease. I doubt if he's on the lease.
No, I don't believe he was on the lease.
I don't believe he was on the lease. Absolutely not.
I'm just saying.
No, I did not say you. I did not say you said anything about the look. No. I did not say that. No. I said I'm not going to judge a person based on their looks or whatever and judge them and say, hey, they're in low housing or whatever. She could be not, but I'm just not going to throw that out there until I know for a fact.
My experience when they do housing like that, it's particularly a like Juicy said, income based rent, which would still be subsidized.
But I don't even know why we arguing this point because it really doesn't make a difference. But
And she is
I get
homely.
it, but I'm just tired of our people being prejudged before we know actually if this is true. And even if it is true, that doesn't still make her less of a person.
No, I never said
I'm
that.
not gonna jump the gun and just automatically assume that this is it. But we can move on. Because like you said, at this point it really don't matter.
what I mean, why? How do we even? Because I'm confused how we even came up with what does the now I can surmise from me not even knowing what the lady looked like or none of that he's probably not on the lease because for one he kind of distanced himself from the residence when he said he didn't know his address. You got to remember when the cop initially asked him, I don't think he even said that he lived there. Like
no, he said he lived, and he told the cop
right,
on the other side of town.
Yeah.
And what they initially arrested him for is failure to register as a sex offender, which is a felony because he's a tier 3. That's what that's what they were holding him on before they charged him with the murder.
Just like you say, I'm sure in that apartment complex, there's probably a lot of kids. Probably even a damn school down the street. You know what I mean? It's the reason why. Like I say, this man has had he has had several violations of not registering. That's what I understand. I mean, they want locked up because he been not following the rules. You feel
every single time he got arrested from when he was 17, the same charge appears every single time he's arrested. Not registering as a sex offender. Every time he's been arrested at least 8 times since he was 17 and charged with the sexual assault. He's been arrested 8 times since then. And every single time, failure to register is on there.
Let me throw this in there. Y'all remember when old girl was on the stand? She said they had been staying together for 6 years.
Yes, they said they mentioned that too, that your girlfriend was 6 years.
I'm just not seeing what Fawn said. Hinted. I got hinted thinking. I'm just looking at it.
What?
Oh, I'm not title. But I'm just looking at my title. I do have hinted. I got hinted thinkings.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. She said they have been living together for 6 years. Yeah. And I guarantee you, if they've been in that spot for 6 years or any other spot, he was never on a lease. I can guarantee you that. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy though.
They need to start questioning some of them kids in that place.
Yeah, they do. To be honest, I'm sure they did.
What's your date of birth, Andrea?
9383.
9383. And this is 2744, number 8.
Yeah.
And what's your phone number?
563.
Yep.
639. 8716.
8716. So tell me about, like, when was the last time you saw her?
She was here.
When?
What time was that? Folks saying like around 11 midnight. She was here. She was in bed sleeping.
Okay. And you guys never heard her come down, walk out? There's no forced entry or anything like that? Okay. Do you mind if I just come in and take a quick look? I'm not concerned about anything else. I just want to come in because probably 50% of the time we still find them inside the place when this happens. And
I kind of do my face kind of break right now.
what's that?
My face is kind of been break. But
listen, I go on all sorts of places.
Why does she have Dinkins
What's her name
t-shirt
again?
on?
Was there any fights or arguments or anything last night? Bree is her name? Where was she sleeping at?
Why is she wearing one of Dinkins t-shirts?
Everybody got a long
Yeah,
white tee.
I guess he just passes them out at night. Here, everyone
He
wear
got
this.
one on. She got one on.
Yep.
The kids
And
supposedly had one on. Come on, what in the hell?
where's the air mattress?
Well,
If the child is missing and the child is gone, why are you cleaning up the apartment? Shouldn't you be worried about where that child is and looking for that child instead of worried about cleaning your apartment?
you know, I saw somebody put in the chat earlier, and it's a true statement that no one seemed like really alarmed, but the mom. Now, the cop, I get it. Because if you listen to him, he said over and over again, this happens. A lot of times they hiding. They done went to another apartment or something like that. So the cop off the rip didn't see any, to me, honestly, urgency. Okay. She's showing no urgency at all. And she know now, you gotta remember with this lady's demeanor that we're watching now, you gotta know at this point this lady knows that baby left that house with him. And never came back.
And she said 11 o'clock last night. She didn't say
she's lying.
Well,
she lied flat out.
She wasn't in the bed at 3 a.m. when I saw her.
Flat out lied. Flat out.
Now my thing is, even if that wasn't my child, I would be still a little frantic.
Be
her. They should have been knocking on doors when the cops came.
No, she should have been like, yeah, that fat bastard took her out about 3 o'clock this morning.
Should have told that man off the rip that he took that baby out of there. Off the rip. That's what I say. I don't understand and I don't know if she initially got charges and caught the plea and they were dropped. I don't know, but I know she should have had some. She should have had some, y'all.
So instead of looking for the child or frantically acting that the child is gone, you worried about your air mattress. You worried about cleaning up the living room. What else did you clean up? Did you clean up did he tell you to clean up when he left at 6 a.m.?
Come on, man.
When he came to get so what have you been doing since you first noticed that the child left from 3:30 in the morning? Could you just go back to sleep?
She said she never went back to sleep. She said that.
So what has she been doing since 3:30 this morning?
Looking at him. Looking at him. Watching him.
Watching where the boy was and what the boy was doing, because remember, the boy said he tried to get her phone to call his mother.
And she wouldn't let him.
And she wouldn't let him. So she's been watching the boy.
That's another thing. Why would you deny a child to call his mother?
If you just told this young man that his sister is missing out of the apartment and he wants to call his mama, why would you deny him that?
Okay, well, here's the other question. She says he came back at 6 a.m. and got the boy. What were you doing from 6 a.m. until 8:30 when he decides that maybe I should tell the mother? Or 8 o'clock or whatever it is, because he wasn't there when he told the mother. He was somewhere else. So what is she doing? Because he came back and the girl was nowhere to be found. And what was the excuse for grabbing? Hey, I'm just gonna grab him real quick. He didn't tell her, or the girl.
Back and forth from the apartment to leave, apartment leave. That woman knew something. She knew something.
She did. I'm telling you, she knew something when she said, "Oh, you want to come in here? Why do you want to come in here?" Oh, did he say it was all right? Well, he says it's in his apartment, so why am I asking him? He said, your apartment. I don't need to ask him. I need to ask you.
Exactly.
And she looked like a deer in the headlights. Her eyes are
Yep.
big
Yep.
as damn coffee cups. Like what's going on? I don't. And the cop knew she was lying.
Yeah, he don't live there, but he had a whole closet to himself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. If she want to charge with something initially, I can't. I can't. All right, here we go, y'all.
Your bed? So where were you guys sleeping at last night? You guys slept out here? Oh. Can you look in the closet again? Huh?
That's all clothes.
I know, I'm just telling you, you'd be surprised. What we've
I know, right?
So she was sleeping in the bed with her brother? And you guys slept out here? Okay. What time did you guys wake up?
Now, I was still asleep. I don't know what time everybody else got up.
Well, what time did you wake up?
Oh, goodness, honestly, I cannot remember what time I was.
Okay, like 30 minutes ago, 2 hours ago? 2 hours ago? Okay.
That's
She
6
just
a.m.
lied. She
That's-
just lied.
That's actually 5 a.m. because look at the timestamp on this thing. 7:32. 0732. Or 7 o'clock. 7 a.m. That's what this timestamp says right there. 7
Lied.
a.m. So she's saying she woke up at 5?
She lying.
Yeah, she lied. Well, I don't know what time I woke up. And he just started putting
What
out
the
numbers.
hell, Trey? Where the hell you been? The fuck?
Oh, Trey came to work? Oh.
No, he came. He's standing outside looking in the window.
Oh, okay.
Why is the girlfriend playing with that cop? The girlfriend agrees. Yeah, she lied. Of course, she lied. It's really pissing me off because she's a liar, and I don't understand. Like, oh my god, because see, in the whole grand scheme of things, if you look back, something that she could have done, when this shit first popped out,
Would have changed the
maybe
entire.
they could have saved the baby. Maybe they could have. I don't know because we
But
don't
the
know.
if she had said that he took her at 3 a.m. in the morning, he would have been arrested right then and there. Right then and there, he would have been arrested.
Right.
Girl is gone. You lied to me. Put your hands behind your back. If you run, I will shoot you. So basically, you lied to me and told me that you didn't see her since last night. Your girlfriend just said you left with her at 3:30 this morning. That's enough for me to arrest you. That's probable cause for me to arrest you for the disappearance of this child.
And especially if I run your name and see your shit. I'm being Dr. Mom today, baby. Baby, please doesn't feel well. Oh, okay, Trey. How she feels better. Okay, y'all, here we go.
But it also would have changed the search.
Huh?
It also would have changed the search. They wouldn't.
It would have totally changed
everything. Because they would have not wasted their time walking around this complex. They wouldn't have been looking at all the stores around there. They would have snatched his cell phone up and immediately had it looked at and then started seeing where he has been. Not, oh, well, we're going to, let's get some people. Because at first, and then he would have called in a whole bunch of cops immediately. Not they're coming dribbling in over the course of a time. They would have been there. They would have all been called in. They would have called in off-duty cops at the time if they felt like it was foul play. They would have called in the detectives immediately, the off-duty cops immediately, not different cops coming in and helping out. It would have been everyone needs to come in now. We need to find this baby right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she put hours between them
When they
looking.
questioned him, I don't know when maybe it was that day that he went to the police station because
Yeah, after 12. He
Yeah.
said he told the cop
he still had time though to do some other shit. We don't know what he did within that time. He could have did more covering up during that time. And if he had been arrested at the apartment off the real, he wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yes, he'd have lost 4 hours of whatever he was doing because
Right.
he'd been arrested immediately. And if this cop looks up, because he's gone already. Remember, cop said, I went out, he was gone. I had a lot more questions I had to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if he didn't think his girlfriend was going to lie for him. Did he think the girlfriend was going to start telling shit right then and there?
I don't know.
Because he said, oh, okay, all right. When she opened the door, he was already walking up that path.
Yep, he was leaving.
Yes, when she opened that door, he was already leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was scared if he got in that apartment. And she said, well, Henry got up and took her somewhere at like 3:30 this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sir, I hope you don't mind. I pulled my gun out. I need you to get on the floor before I shoot you.
Yep.
He did not want to go in that apartment with that cop.
No, he didn't. Mm-mm.
Does she have any friends out here? Like, has she ever played with any of the neighbors? Okay, are you going to come out and help look or not?
Officer Burkle, did you happen to notice what kind of shoes Mr. Dinkins was wearing?
Yes,
Describe that for us.
very gold, shiny gold shoes. They stood out.
Okay. And then today, do you recall anything about the condition of the shoes other than noting that they were very shiny and gold?
No, I just remember them being very shiny and gold.
Okay, all right. Your body-worn camera, is this something that would be accessible to detectives so that they could look at what was documented for his clothing and shoes when you had your contact with him?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Freeze. Thank you. Good morning. Officer, in that video, the T-shirt that Mr. Dinkins is wearing, does that video accurately and fairly depict the condition of that shirt?
It should.
When you fairly clean, would you agree with that?
At that time, I'm not really looking at the clothing. I remember being white.
Did you notice any dirt stains or grass stains on it?
No.
Any blood stains or blood spatter on it?
No.
And you mentioned on direct examination that DL made a comment to you at some point that he saw and heard Mr. Dinkins awaken Breasia Terrell and say, let's go.
Yes.
At what point in the interview, or at what point in time did DL say that?
When they brought a picture back up to me, I re-met with Aisha and DL.
Okay. So you'd agree with me that DL had left the complex with his mother and then came back sometime later, and that's when he told you that Mr. Dinkins had awakened Breasia and said, let's go, right?
Yeah.
Now, the video we just saw when Mr. Dinkins come out of the apartment with DL, one of the first things you asked was, when's the last time you saw Breasia, right?
Yes,
And DL was right there with him, correct?
yes,
And you'd agree with me that DL is kind of a rambunctious little kid,
sure,
and he was offering his 2 cents worth throughout the video, right?
correct,
He was kind of involved in the conversation, even though he wasn't being asked questions, right?
correct.
And he kind of confirmed, gave his 2 cents worth that it was last night, last time he saw her, right?
Yes,
He did not chime in at that point that it was at some point during the night where he saw Mr. Dinkins come in and awaken Breasia and say, let's go, right?
he did not until I formally questioned him later.
And again, you only questioned him after his mother, who was upset, first of all, right?
Yeah.
She was angry, right? Not saying she shouldn't be. I mean, people have a whole range of emotions during these events, right?
Yeah.
But it was after he had spent time with his mother and come back that he had this story about Mr. Dinkins waking up Breasia and saying, let's go.
Yes,
And the vehicles in the video, the first one's a black Camaro. Did you look at that Camaro at all?
no,
How about the Impala?
no,
In your experience as a peace officer, the reaction and the demeanor of Mr. Dinkins did not raise any red flags to you, did it?
no,
That's all I have.
Officer Burkle, were you troubled by the fact that he just left?
yeah,
Were you troubled by the fact that you tried calling him multiple times and he never returned that call?
yes,
Were you troubled by the fact that you sent a text and then you did not get any indication of his location until he said he was at the Davenport Police Department a little after noon?
yes.
All right. Did that seem very unusual?
Very unusual for a complainant just to leave.
All right. Now, as we looked at the video, and I don't know if you paid attention, but the T-shirt itself, did you notice areas on the T-shirt that looked like there would be sections that might be more damp, where it was almost wet compared to other areas that were dry?
You know, initially when I'm just there speaking to him, I'm not looking at his clothing because I'm not thinking anything suspicious yet, that something further may have happened to Breasia. So I'm not really looking at his clothing up and down to see if any of the spots are on it.
Okay, thank you. Now, when you were talking with Mr. Dinkins, as we observed there on the body-worn camera, were you focused in at all on DL and what it is that he was saying?
No,
Okay. Was DL even being interviewed at that point in time?
no,
Okay. Can you even tell us what DL was saying when he was standing over there by your squad car?
no,
All right. When Miss Langford returned to provide a photograph or photographs of Breasia, did you then conduct an interview of Aisha Langford?
yes,
And then from there, then, did you conduct an interview of DL?
yes,
Was Mr. Dinkins anywhere near DL when you asked him about what he observed that night?
no,
All right. And then when you spoke with Andrea Culberson, was that after you'd had the opportunity to speak with Aisha and DL and then collect a statement from her?
no. I talked to Andrea before I talked to Aisha or DL.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so is that where you gathered the information from her about waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning?
Yes,
All right. I have no further questions.
You would agree with me, sir, that on that video we just watched, nowhere there did Henry Dinkins say he had just awakened.
no, no,
So if there's testimony that you or another witness provided that put the words in Henry's mouth that he had just woke up, that didn't appear in that video anywhere, right?
no. I knew he didn't just wake up. He said he's been looking for her for a couple hours.
Okay. But that video hasn't been edited. It's true and accurate to the best of your recollection, right?
Yes,
In your interview with DL, did he indicate to you that he saw his sister get shot?
no,
Did he indicate to you anything about seeing a bloody machete?
no,
Did he indicate to you that he saw a bloody machete and his father cleaning it off with bleach?
no.
That's all I have.
Officer Burkle, is there a difference between the structure of a field interview versus formal interviews that are conducted at the Davenport Police Department?
Yeah, you're confined more to a room, more safer place, feel more comfortable probably.
Okay. And as a matter of standard practice, when you go out to a scene, do you conduct field interviews of witnesses?
Yeah.
However, is there always, almost always, a follow-up that's done by detectives of witnesses?
In major cases, yes.
And explain why there would be a follow-up by detectives.
Initial reaction when you always get on scene is, people's blood pressure gets up. They may not recall everything. When things calm down and they're able to process things, they start to recollect some things that they may have forgot or not initially thought of. So typically when they go down to the police station to speak with the detectives, often it's days later, or at least hours later. And they've had some downtime to recall the events, how they happened.
Okay, when we talk about an 8-year-old child, considering those factors, is that something that should be considered? You've got an 8-year-old child. This is not something that's normal for an 8-year-old child. Do we always want to do follow-up interviews with an 8-year-old child?
If they're available, yeah.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Mr. Freeze.
In your 20-plus years experience as an officer, however, you'd expect a witness, even in a field interview, to relay that they witnessed a shooting, correct?
Yeah.
Or you expect a witness, no matter how old, if they're old enough to comprehend, to say they saw their father with a bloody machete wiping it off with bleach, in your experience?
Unless they were intimidated by him being in the immediate vicinity of him, he may not want to.
But Henry Dinkins wasn't in the vicinity of DL when you interviewed him, right?
No, after they left, no, the second time.
Ms. Cunningham,
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
you may step down.
Your Honor, the state calls Officer Jason Pojar to the stand.
All right, y'all. We're gonna listen to. I'm gonna see how long this one is, and then let me see. Hold on.
That cop wanted to punch that defense attorney in the face.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Raise your right hand. Do you sort of tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? I do.
Is that the hamburger guy from Popeye? I'd gladly pay you for a hamburger on Tuesday.
Looks like he's gonna be short. How far in am I? Let me see.
Well, I think the cop was trying to clean it up with the. Well, why didn't he say it on your initial interview? Well, not if the father's standing right there. And
we all talked.
But that took the defense attorney back a little bit. We
all talked about how DL was acting when he came out that door.
Mm-hmm.
Please state your name for the record and spell your last name.
Jason Pojar, P like Paul, O-J-A-R.
Officer Pojar, are you retired at this point or currently employed?
Yes, I am. I'm currently retired from the Davenport Police Department.
How long had you been employed at the Davenport Police Department?
22 years and almost 2 months.
All right. If I could, I'd like to direct your attention to the events of July 10th of 2020. Were you on duty that day?
Yes, I was assigned to the day shift patrol division at that point.
What hours would that have entailed?
Approximately 6:45 a.m. until 3:15 p.m.
Okay. Officer Pojar, did you become aware of a report that had been made at 8:29 a.m. in the morning of a child identified as Breasia Terrell who was reported to be missing?
Yes, I was.
How did you become familiar with that particular situation?
Survey marked patrol vehicle for the patrol division has MDCs in them, computers, and we're all able to communicate with each other, see each other's calls, what calls we might be on. It's also a centralized system in which we receive what's BOLOs, be on the lookouts. And there was a BOLO put out that morning as far as a vehicle we were looking for, a license plate, and what it was regarding that was sent out to all units on duty, logged into the system at that time.
Okay. Now, the BOLO that was put out about a vehicle, was this a vehicle that was associated with the investigation developing that day relative to Breasia Terrell, who was reported missing?
Yes.
What was the description given of the vehicle of interest?
It was a 2007 maroon Chevy Impala bearing Iowa license plate I-Ida V Victor U Union 770.
Okay. What were you doing at approximately 1:31 p.m. that afternoon?
I was driving southbound in the 400 block of Main Street in our city when I came across that vehicle located in front of 410 Main Street, legally parked on the west side of the street facing south.
Okay. Now, to be clear, when we talk about 410 Main Street, what direction does that run?
That is a half a block from West 4th Street, which is a east-west perpendicular street.
Okay. What is the address of the Davenport Police Department?
416 Harrison Street.
And then what would be the intersecting number street where the police department lies there at 416 Harrison?
You're phrasing it.
Does the police department?
Oh, West 4th Street?
Yeah.
East West Street, yeah.
All right.
Yep, so Harrison Street is a north-south street. Main Street is a north-south street. They are 1 block from each other, north-south streets. And on the south side is the east-west, West 4th Street.
Got you. All right. When you came across that vehicle, did you reach out to anyone to advise that you had located the Impala?
Yes, I did. I called Detective Sergeant Pfeiffer.
Okay, what did you advise Sergeant Pfeiffer?
I advised him of my location and that I was out with that vehicle.
Okay. With that being said, did you receive any information that a subject of interest, Henry Dinkins, was at the Davenport Police Department?
I was not advised that he was at the police department. After speaking with Sergeant Pfeiffer, he said, stay with the vehicle, obviously. I will call you back in a few minutes. And that is after a few minutes later when I received a call back from Detective Beth Tharp from the Criminal Investigation Division.
Okay. Now, what was the purpose for Detective Tharp reaching out to you?
She advised me that the Criminal Investigation Division had a search warrant for that vehicle, and she requested that I have it towed to the Davenport Police Department Evidence Bay, accompany Fred's towing to that, and stay with it until she arrived on location.
Okay. With that being said, then, what specifically did you do?
So what we do is we go to frequency 3, one of radio frequencies. We tell the dispatcher our location, which you already know from me calling out the location when I was out with, and request Fred's towing to respond. At that point, Fred's towing responds. Usually they try to get there within 20 minutes. Sometimes it's a little quicker, sometimes a little longer, but we stay with the vehicle until Fred's towing responds. We inform them what we have, put gloves on, don't touch anything. It's going to be towed to the police department. I'll accompany you there. So once that happened, the Fred's towing driver responded. I followed him down to the police department. On the west side of the police department, which is North Ripley Street, North South Street, there's an overhead door, which I got out of my squad car. I opened it up and I watched him back into our garage and drop the vehicle there in a parking space.
Okay. So essentially, are you the individual that's maintaining the chain of custody for that vehicle?
That's correct, I am.
All right. At the time that you located the vehicle, what were the weather conditions?
As far as I remember, sunny, clear, wasn't raining, snowing, any adverse
Anything like
weather.
that? And the surface where the vehicle was parked, how would you describe that?
Was dry, clean concrete.
All right. And then beyond that, if an individual was going to go to the Davenport Police Department to talk to law enforcement, is there any parking right there along the building, either on Harrison Street or 4th Street?
Yes, both. So on the east side of the building, just north of West 4th Street, there is a visitor parking lot, which you can access by pulling into it from southbound Harrison Street. If you choose not to pull into that parking lot, there is parking there on North Harrison Street in front of the police department. Or if you take a right onto West 4th Street, right at that light, there's ample parking along the street there.
Okay. Now, did you remain with the vehicle?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did anyone then meet you in that south evidence garage once the vehicle had been taken into the garage by Fred's towing?
Yes, within a few minutes of once Fred's dropped the vehicle and drove off, I stood with the vehicle until Detective Tharp responded down to meet with me.
And then when Detective Tharp responded down to meet with you, was the vehicle then turned over to her custody and control?
That is correct.
Did that conclude your involvement in this particular matter?
Yes, it did.
The events that you described, did they occur in Scott County, Iowa?
Yes, they did.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Waters?
So essentially, your involvement in this is locating that maroon Impala at 410 Main Street, right?
Correct.
So the car was parked 1 block away from the Davenport Police Department?
Correct.
And I mean, that would probably take, what, 2 minutes to get from where the car was parked to the inside of the Davenport Police Department?
I'd say that'd be accurate, yes.
Okay, so I think you mentioned you had located this car at about 1:30 p.m. on July 10th of 2020, right?
Correct. I called out at 1:31 with it.
How long did you stand there next to the car before Fred's towing got there?
I would estimate it was roughly a 10-minute process off the top of my head. So like I said, I know that after I called out the vehicle, I exited my vehicle just to walk up to the vehicle, make sure I didn't observe anybody inside of it. Then I returned to my vehicle. I know I called Sergeant Pfeiffer on my cell phone immediately. He said, give him a few minutes, he'd call me back. I don't know exactly what time that was that I called him, but I can tell you it was within a couple of minutes when I received a call right back from Detective Tharp asking that, okay, go ahead and have it towed to the station. At which point, when I hung up with her, I went to Channel 3 and requested Fred's towing to respond with our dispatcher.
Okay, so you look inside this vehicle, you're trying to see if there's anybody in it. I mean, you're within, a foot of this vehicle, right?
Correct, couple of feet, yeah, walked up
maroon-
the driver's side window.
The maroon Impala we're talking about.
Correct.
Okay, so then as soon as you see that nobody's in the car, you make all these phone calls while you're sitting in your patrol car.
Correct.
And then Fred's towing gets there about 10 minutes later, right?
I don't recall what time, but it would have been slightly longer than that because I'm estimating it was roughly a 10-minute process, maybe 15 tops as far as when I went out the vehicle, walked up the driver's side window, took a quick view in, returned back to my squad car, called Detective Sergeant Pfeiffer. A few minutes later, got a call back from Detective Tharp. By the time I went to Channel 3 to request it, it probably would have been 10, 15-minute process, I'd estimate.
So my point here is that you've had eyes on this vehicle for about 10 to 15 minutes, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then I imagine you're looking in the windows, you're looking for any weapons, because at this point, you know that there's a search warrant on the vehicle, right?
I did not know when I walked up to the vehicle and glanced inside. Obviously, I looked for any persons, anything out in clear view. Is once I received the call from Detective Tharp back that she had told me they already have a search warrant for the vehicle, have it towed to the station. So when I walked up to the vehicle, I was not aware there was an active search warrant for it at that time, no.
Did you see any mud or dirt on the side of the vehicle at this point?
I don't recall. It's one of those things, like I said, my position to come across the vehicle, I just do a quick clear, walk up to it, make sure it's unoccupied, make sure there's nothing alarming in my clear view, and then return to my squad car. I didn't walk around it to inspect it. Like if it was to be like a hit and run vehicle we're looking for, obviously that's something I would walk around, kind of take note of any damage, mud, paint transfer, something like that. But under these circumstances, it was simply walking up to it, make sure I observed nobody inside, nothing clearly alarming in plain view, and then I returned. I really can't say that I took note of any damage or paint transfer, mud or dirt. I wasn't looking for anything.
Okay, did the exterior of the vehicle seem pretty clean to you?
I don't recall.
Didn't see any damage or dent on the vehicle?
I don't recall, because once again, I wasn't specifically looking for that. And then pay attention to the body of it.
So you did, though, you were staring at this vehicle for probably 10 to 15 minutes.
From the back end. So it, like said, it was parked on the west side of the street facing south. So I had parked right behind it. So all I can see is the back bumper plate of the vehicle. Can't see the sides of it or the front of it being parked behind it.
Okay, and then the interior of the vehicle, you said you looked at it for a brief moment.
Correct, yeah.
Just from that
Few
brief moment?
seconds, yeah.
Just from that brief moment, did it seem pretty clean on the inside to you?
I don't recall. Once again, I know I looked inside. Obviously you're looking for persons, you're looking for weapons, paraphernalia. You see anything legal that pops out, not see anything. I didn't sit there and kind of inventory in my head what was where. I had a specific purpose what I was looking for. Didn't see it, so I returned to my squad, made the phone calls.
Didn't take any pictures of the vehicle?
No, I did not.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Ms. Cunningham?
Yes, thank you. Officer Pojo, I think it's pretty evident, but I'll just make it extremely evident. Did you see anyone in the vehicle?
No, I did not.
I have no further questions.
Nothing further.
You may stay down.
Thank you.
Your Honor, the state calls Detective Beth Tharp to the stand.
Just a moment.
Your Honor, the state calls Detective Beth Tharp to the stand.
Now, whoever this is not gonna be up long either, y'all. Let me see. And
If you give me a hamburger today, I will gladly pay you on Tuesday.
you know what? Y'all gonna need Big Joe now. Big Joe came up there and did his job. He didn't take all day. He was right to the point, straight to the point. He didn't have to talk about nothing. He was just like, this is what it is.
So no.
Big Joe lived.
So Leah just said, wouldn't an officer know if there was a search if he ran the license plate? No, because the warrant may have just been made, so they may not have been in the system.
It was a be on the lookout. I mean,
they put a bolo out on it. That's why he stopped and found it. But his whole testimony is, when you found that vehicle, no one else came near it, correct? Before you confiscated that vehicle, was anybody in it or near it?
Trying to maybe insinuate contamination, but we all know that man did what he supposed to do.
That's why it established once they found the
nobody
vehicle.
Put no mud in and nobody did
Exactly.
Nobody
But see, what he tried to say is, so was anyone else driving that vehicle? Did you see who drove that vehicle? No, but when I found the vehicle hidden around the corner, okay, because he could have parked by the police station, but he chose not to. Dumbass
was parked illegally.
Yeah, so he didn't park near the police station. He parked away because he knew that they wanted that car. He knew they would want that car. So he tried to park away. Huh?
What you think?
I just said he knew they wanted that car.
I'm saying I probably went out. What I was saying was he probably was at the police station when they found the car, or
yeah, he was inside because the detective said that he was there.
Right. Okay. Great.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
detective said he's there. Don't stay with the car. We're getting a search
He
warrant.
called away from the damn police. You know
Because
what?
he knew, just like he drove away.
Look at Henry.
Yeah, just like he took off with that car, because that is the car that she was last seen in. So he took off in that car because he needed to clean it better than he did. That's why I'm saying if old Ugmug had said that he left the house at 3:30 with the girl, they would have had that car right there.
I think I was doing cars about to look into this because it was the car they was looking for. It was to be on the lookout for Avila. So yeah, they would have had to call in on that one. All right. So let's see what this next detective. She's not gonna be up long either, y'all.
Do you sort of tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please have a seat.
I can't take that judge serious with that bow tie.
Stop it.
Your Honor, may we just have a brief
Adjournment for 5 minutes.
Why do you wait till the damn witness come in and sit down and shit and ask for a break? I'm just saying.
Did you see that look she gave him? Like, fuck you, defense attorney. Bitch. That's the look she gave the defense attorney. I see, bitch. You ain't doing me like you did them other people, bitch. Bitch.
That lady want thinking they do.
Look, she still got that look like she spelt something bad. Look at the frown on her face. Like, I can't believe
she don't want to be there.
Yeah, she definitely don't want to be there.
Testifying. No, she ain't want to be there. She's sitting there like, y'all need to bring y'all asses on because I ain't got all day. I'm trying to go get me some donuts and shit.
Right there, she said, you think if I close my eyes, just you'll notice?
Oh no, because I fast forward too far. Let me see. Hold on, y'all.
So wait, Mad says, did they ever find out was someone else in the car besides the boy when the woman walked up to it after he came back the last time? She was hesitant when it was asked. I don't remember that. Does anybody remember that? I don't think. No. Did she ever say that?
Probably
that
had
she,
it tomorrow.
did she ever say she went out to the car when he
Who?
came back? Did the girlfriend go out to the car when he came back with the son again?
I don't think so.
Because remember, at some point he comes back to the apartment with the son.
Yeah, but I don't think old girl went to the car. If I didn't remember hearing that.
No,
Ooh.
I mean, the only thing I remember is her saying I saw her at the car, and that was at 3:30.
Yeah.
And then he leaves with the boy at I guess 6 o'clock. She said he came back around six.
Yeah.
6 picked the boy up, and then they left.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point they come back because I think they find out that the mother had called the cops and that she was meeting them over there.
Mm. Yeah, it's but she said she did that she saw it through the window. Something she ain't told the
At 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
At 3:30, but never after that.
Right.
So when you leave at 3:30, you don't come back with the child, and the cop asked me when's the last time you saw her. I'm saying, well, at 3:30, I saw her outside the car with him. Not last night sometime.
If I mean, because the thing about it is, you got the cop looking like a whole ass, even searching the apartment. You knew he wasn't gonna find her there. You knew this.
I think the girlfriend knew she was dead.
I believe she knew he had done something.
Yep, done something. But the cops were hoping that he had just taken her somewhere,
right,
and had her there. Now, if she had said, well, at 3:30, they would have retraced the steps. And if he had just abducted her, they would have been able to find her. If the girlfriend had said, well, he took her out at 3:30 this morning, they would have retraced his entire steps. Even though he didn't have a cell phone, they would have went up and down that street looking for video of that car.
Yeah.
They'd have looked at traffic cams. They'd started looking everywhere. If she had just said, well, he took her out at 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
They would have started looking at traffic cams at 3:30 on to see which way that car was going and where it could have went.
Right. That's why I'm so pissed off with this. Ooh, Lord, anyway.
At Iowa State University, where I got a bachelor's degree in sociology and criminal justice.
Okay. And then once you completed your formal education, where did you begin your professional career?
Davenport.
When did you officially start with the Davenport Police Department?
August 4th of 2008.
Okay. Now, if you could describe for us the different capacities that you have served the Davenport Police Department.
After completing the Law Enforcement Academy, I was a patrol officer. From there, I began working in the NETS unit. After that, I returned to patrol, where I was a field training officer. And from there, I went up to the Detective Bureau, and I have been in every unit of that bureau now.
Okay. In what capacity were you working in July of 2020?
I was a light duty officer due to pregnancy in the, at that time, major case unit.
Okay. Directing your attention to the events of July 10th of 2020, if you could, how far along were you in your pregnancy at that point?
7 or 8 months. At
Okay.
That point.
And how heightened was your sense of smell?
Pretty heightened.
Was it? And when you say that you were on light duty, what specifically had you been tasked with doing at that time?
Now that I'm using this woman's pregnancy as part of evidence.
So you were about 8 months pregnant, and you could smell a drop of shit 4 miles away.
It is. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, you could smell a drop of shit 4 miles away, couldn't you? Come on, tell us the truth now.
For real. It is true. They're true for real. You do have a heightened system because a lot of smells for some women, not all, make you nauseous.
Yeah.
Like really makes you nauseous. Like bleach can make you nauseous.
When you smelled the defendant, did you throw up?
See, I'm gonna need you to stop. Let me talk to my phone. Baby. Phone may be working, y'all. But listen, if this to me is funny that she asked that question for real. Okay, y'all, here we go.
in the pregnancy?
I was actually assigned to administrative duty. This was post riots, so I was assisting Detective Butt with the shooting of Sergeant Lansing and any duties related to the riots that time.
Okay, directing your attention to a report that came in at 8:29 a.m. that morning, reporting a child by the name of Breasia Terrell as missing. At some point in the day, were you pulled from your assignment and asked to carry out some responsibilities, given the use of other manpower and where it was being directed in the Detective Bureau?
Yes, I was asked to draft a search warrant for a vehicle that was being brought to the station by Officer Pojar. And once that search warrant was signed, I was asked to go downstairs with the evidence tech and sit with her while she took some photographs.
Okay, what is the name of the evidence technician that you're referencing?
Jill Foster.
Okay, and then did Jill Foster respond to the Davenport Police Department?
Yes, she did.
Where did she respond to?
The secure evidence bay in our north garage.
Okay, and then what happened once Jill Foster arrived down there in the secure evidence bay?
We opened the trunk to make sure that Breasia Terrell was not located inside.
Okay, when you opened the trunk, was there any human remains found inside the trunk?
There was not.
All right. Now, did Ms. Foster just take some general photographs of the vehicle so that how it existed and what was in that vehicle was captured?
Yes.
Okay. Were you present when the trunk was opened up?
Yes.
When that trunk was opened up, is there anything specifically that you noted?
I noted a strong odor of like a chemical bleach smell.
All right. Now, was this something that Ms. Foster noted, or was it something that you picked up given the fact that you were in the later stages of pregnancy?
It was something I mentioned to her.
Okay. And then when you mentioned being able to smell the Clorox, do you recall how she would have responded to that?
I don't off the top of my head.
That's fine. Was that information then that you relayed investigation?
Yes.
Okay. And did your observations of the odor of Clorox coming from that Impala actually form a probable cause that was, well, I should say information that was incorporated into later applications for search warrants of that vehicle to establish probable cause to process it in different ways?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, may the record reflect that I'm showing counsel what's been marked as State's Exhibit 150-1 and 150-2. Your Honor, may I approach?
You may.
I'm handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 150-1 and 150-2. Please look at 150-1. Do you
Hey.
recognize that particular exhibit?
Truth, I gotta step.
I
I gotta
haven't
step
personally
away
seen it,
for
but
a few
this would
minutes.
be a
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
search warrant for that Impala that I had looked at first.
Okay, all right. Now, were there a number of search warrants that were applied for over the course of time relative to this Impala?
Yes.
Okay, did Davenport Police Department apply for search warrants?
Yes.
And then did you have any knowledge of the FBI also having applied for a search warrant for this vehicle?
I'm sure they did. I just wasn't involved.
Absolutely. What I'd like to do is this. As you look at this, is this a standard application for a search warrant that is used here in Scott County?
Yes, it is.
And with each application for search warrant, on that opening page, does it give a description of the item or locations to be searched?
Yes, it does.
And then is there a description set forth in the application identifying the types of property that law enforcement is looking for?
Yes.
All right. And for this application for search warrant, does it bear the signature of a particular officer of the Davenport Police Department?
Detective Sean Johnson.
And does it give us a date that this was presented to a judge and was subscribed and sworn by Detective Johnson before a judge or magistrate?
July 14th.
Okay. All right. And then attached there too, is there a probable cause statement set forth in attachment A?
Yes.
And then in addition to that, is there an endorsement page with a signature of a judge?
Yes.
And then is there a search warrant that shows that it had been reviewed by a judge, signed and dated?
Yes.
And then that being said, I want you to look at the attachment A. Take a moment to read all of the probable cause that was set forth in attachment A, but I want you to focus on anything that relates to information that you provided. All right, don't indicate anything just yet.
Okay.
Does this application for search warrant apply to a vehicle of interest that was seized on July 10th and taken to the Evans Bay?
Yes, it does.
And what is that vehicle?
That is going to be the 2007 maroon Chevy Impala with license plates IVU 770.
And was this the vehicle that Officer Pojar had followed to that Evans Bay when it was towed there?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, the state would move to introduce State's Exhibit 151 or 150-1.
Your Honor, I'm going to object on several grounds and apologize for speaking. First of all, no one's challenging the veracity or the propriety of the search of the vehicle. Number two is clearly hearsay. Number three, this officer cannot lay foundation for a search warrant applied for by another officer. Additionally, it's cumulative and redundant testimony already in a record. And number five, it contains information that violates the motion in limine.
Counsel, please approach.
True, can you hear me? True. I don't think she can hear me.
I will sustain the objection at this time.
Thank you. Detective Tharp, this is just purely foundational. Who was the detective that would have authored this particular application for search warrant?
150-1 was Detective Sean Johnson.
All right. Now, here's my questions to you. Your observations about having detected the odor of bleach coming from the trunk, did it make it into attachment A, which basically would have been facts set forth to develop probable cause for the execution of the search warrant?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'm going to direct you to State's Exhibit 150-2. And again, very simply, this is for purposes of foundation. But what is State's Exhibit 150-2?
It's a search warrant for the 2007 maroon Chevy Impala with license plates IVU 770.
Okay. Who was the detective who would have completed the application for search warrant in this instance?
Detective Obert.
Okay. And what was the date that this was applied for?
The 20th of July.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that the vehicle was processed at different points in time, depending upon the type of evidence that law enforcement officers were looking for?
Based off the search warrants, I would say yes.
Okay. All right. So that being said, then I want you, do we have the application for search warrant?
Yes.
Is there an attachment A which sets forth facts in support of the probable cause that's required to be established for the issuance of the search warrant?
Yes.
All right. And then is there also an endorsement on the search warrant application that's been signed by a magistrate?
Yes.
And then is there also the signed search warrant where it's been signed by a judge and dated?
Yes.
I want you to again go back to attachment A. I want you to review the facts set forth in that attachment for purposes of developing probable cause for the issuance of this search warrant. Once you've had an opportunity to do that, let me know.
Okay.
Okay. Having reviewed the information set forth in application or attachment A in States Exhibit 150-2, is there any reference to your observations of having smelled the odor of bleach from that trunk?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and take those exhibits from you. Detective Tharp, what I'd like to do is I want to direct your attention to July 13th of 2020. Were you asked to do a video review of video surveillance footage that had been seized from the area of Schmidt Road?
Yes.
Could you please set the stage for that and help us understand what that entailed?
The video was provided to me and I watched it on a department issued computer. It was of a parking lot which contained a RV type vehicle that I was told belonged to Mr. Dinkins. From the video, you were able to see what would be the entrance door of the RV and any vehicles that would arrive at the RV.
Okay, now that footage, what date was the activity that was documented on that video?
That would be activity from the morning of July 10th of 2020.
And then what was the time on the video surveillance footage for activity that you observed?
Off the top of my head, I'm not exactly sure.
Would it help to, well, let me ask you this. Did you generate a report to document that time?
I did.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness and refresh her recollection?
I don't think appropriate foundation for refreshing recollection has been laid yet.
I'll go ahead and do
It's the
that.
same.
Did you generate a report documenting what you observed during your review of that video surveillance camera?
I did.
Okay, and in that report, do you provide a description of observations made?
Yes.
Do you also set forth the time that these events occurred?
Yes.
Do you remember that time as you sit there on the stand?
I do not.
Would it help to review your report so that you can identify the specific time of when these events occurred?
It would.
Your Honor, again, may I approach the witness and hand her report?
You may.
I'm handing your report. I want you just to use it to refresh your recollection. After you've had an opportunity to do that, let me know and then I'll take that report back.
I'm done.
Okay, is your recollection refreshed?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the time on the video surveillance footage?
The time that I was watching was between 8:23 and 8:24 a.m.
Okay, describe what activity you observed in the area of that RV.
I observed a red sedan pulled up in front of the camper, and I was able to see a small child in the doorway of the camper and a male subject, believed to be Mr. Dinkins, and it appeared that they were securing the camper and leaving.
Okay, when you talk about a red sedan, what do you mean by a sedan?
A four-door vehicle.
All right, and the red sedan that you observed, was it all consistent in appearance with the maroon Chevy Impala that you had contact with in the Evidence Bay of the Davenport Police Department?
It would have been.
Okay, and then what did you note about the vehicle relative to the trunk?
The trunk was open of the vehicle and then it was closed.
Okay, had you observed anyone, if you can recall, going back to that trunk and closing the trunk?
Yes, the male subject.
Okay. Did that conclude your involvement in this matter?
It did.
I have no further questions of this witness.
Ma'am, on the video you were just talking about, the gentleman that you saw on the video, the adult, what was he wearing?
I don't know off the top of my head and it's not documented in the report.
You didn't document his attire,
I did not.
but you assumed it to be Mr. Dinkins.
I did.
Why?
Based off of the information I was given that was his trailer and that was his vehicle.
Okay. What information were you given that it was his trailer and that was his vehicle?
They specifically just said, this is his trailer, watch it, and his vehicle is a red sedan.
Okay. So in your experience as an investigator, it's not important to pick out details like the clothing he's wearing, stuff like that?
Typically I would.
What's different about this?
I'm going to go with being very pregnant and under a lot of stress.
Okay. Were you very pregnant and under a lot of stress when you popped that trunk?
Yes.
Okay. Is that why you didn't note anything of evidentiary value in that trunk?
Likely, yes.
Okay. Did you see the person that you say is Mr. Dinkins on that video have anything in his hand like a machete?
I could not testify to that today. No, I could not.
Did you see him have anything in his hands?
Not that I can testify to, no.
Did you see him spray down anything with a spray bottle?
It was a 15-second video. No, I did not.
Okay. this crime scene technician, was that Jill Foster?
It was.
Did she make any comments to you about smelling bleach?
Not that I recall.
Are you attributing this ability to smell bleach to being pregnant?
I would say that my sense of smell was significantly heightened while I was pregnant, and I do remember smelling a strong chemical smell like bleach in the trunk when we opened it.
Well, there's different chemical smells, agreed?
Agreed.
I mean, there's ammonia, right?
Correct.
And that smells different than bleach,
It
right?
does.
So did you smell bleach or did you smell a chemical smell?
I smelled bleach. It's very distinct.
There were cleaning supplies in that trunk, right?
I believe so, yes.
So there was a box that had cleaning supplies in it, correct?
Correct.
And there was a hatchet in that trunk, right?
Yes.
You didn't look at that hatchet, though.
No, I did not.
Did Ms. Foster indicate to you that she saw what she thought was blood in that hatchet?
She did.
And she saw that through the blue light or whatever she was wearing?
I believe so, yes.
She was closer to the trunk than you were?
Initially, when we opened it, I was closer in case the body of Briaja Terrell was inside.
How long did you spend right near the trunk? How many seconds?
30, 45?
And in that 30 to 45 seconds, you didn't see a bottle of bleach?
No.
Could you tell if the interior cloth portion of the trunk was wet?
No.
What does bleach do to fabric?
It typically removes the color.
Did you notice any bleach stains?
I did not.
At any point in time, did you see the interior of the Impala?
I looked through the windows.
Did you see any bleach stains on the interior?
I did not.
Did you think that you could see bleach stains from your vantage point?
I could have.
So if someone had poured bleach in that Impala, is it fair for me to assume that you could have seen bleach stains?
Yes.
And you did not see any bleach stains?
I do not remember seeing any bleach stains. Excuse me. I do not remember seeing any bleach stains, no.
That's all I have.
Ms. Cunningham.
Yes, Shauna. Detective Tharp, was there a massive amount of video surveillance footage that was seized from a number of locations throughout Davenport in officers' attempts to locate Briaja Terrell?
Yes.
Okay. Because of that, were officers who were on light duty assigned to do an initial review of footage?
Yes.
And then if you observed something of interest that would be relevant to this investigation, was that information then documented for Detective Obert, the lead detective, to go back and review?
Yes.
Okay. Is that what you would have done in this particular case?
Yes.
All right. And then finally, when yourself and evidence technician Jill Foster went down to that evidence bay, was the scope of the search warrant to pull out items and go through and search, or simply to take photographs and document?
It was to ensure that the body of Briaja Terrell was not inside. Then we photographed it and sealed it up to demonstrate that nothing was disturbed.
Okay. And so therefore you weren't pulling out items and going through and looking at them. Would that be fair to say?
I did not touch anything inside the vehicle.
Okay. Would that be true for Ms. Foster as well?
Yes, she photographed only.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Nothing further. You may step down. At this time, we'll take our noon recess. We'll reconvene at 1:30.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Can you hear me?
Okay, we got through half, huh?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. He's such an asshole. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. So we got through half of the video, y'all. I think I'm maybe at 3 hours or a little over. I'm not for sure. But yeah, we got through half. They're taking their recess. Then they're gonna come back. We're gonna come back with this on tomorrow morning. I'll be back tomorrow morning, y'all. With we're gonna try to get through the rest of this. And maybe even more, depending on how long. See, if they can do testimonies like this, get them in, get them out. I know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that's not possible, but I can deal with them. I can deal with them type of testimonies. Get to the damn point. Let's go. But
Yeah, a lot of it is like getting down to business or whatever. But the closer you get to the end, everything will make more sense. Because
I believe you
all
on that,
the pieces will be put together. Even with the little boy from then at 8, when he gave his, what he remembered till now, and everything is going to fall in place.
And you know what? For me, watching previous trials, because I ain't just started watching trials when I started doing it on this channel. I do know that at the beginning of the trials, they have all that technical stuff in there. They had the tedious testimonies that we things go on and on and on, and we don't understand why. And then, like you said, the closer and the closer it gets, you see how everything falls into place. So I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Lou. The truth I was asking was, did they find out who else could have been in the car? Her answer was like, the defense is going to say that again. Were you feeling pregnant when you wrote that down? Child, it's a shame when the damn detective pregnancies into evidence. I'm just saying. How much more until we get caught up? I am trying not to keep.
It's 14 days, E. Brooks.
And we on day
The
5.
last of the 13th and 14th is like closing remarks.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to get through. I'm gonna try to get through as much as I can, even before they come. Actually, I'm gonna try to get through with all of it before the 15th, since y'all said that's when the judge is supposed to, hand down his verdict. It's probably gonna be in that little since tomorrow's Saturday and my day is not as busy, on the weekend. I'll probably do about 4 or 5 hours tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like try to get caught up. Because I have time.
And some of the videos are shorter than others. They're not
Right.
as long as you think they are.
Right. Especially with these recesses and lunches and stuff.
Yeah, because
then
in
if
the
I play it
beginning,
on double time, that speeds it up too.
right. And you got to think, in the beginning, you got to fast forward like 20, 30 minutes before they even get started, and the breaks and the lunch.
Right.
So yeah, it's not. That's why I was able to, go through them so quick.
The truth. Let me tell you. See, how you, Farmberry? I understand your struggles, honey, with this client.
What happened? What
You're gonna
happened?
talk about, well, if we come to work on time, we can get through it.
Ooh.
Yeah, Melissa, we are way behind sugar. I'm gonna try to get caught up. I promise. I feel like I can sit here and listen to this shit all day. I've done it, right? But I just don't be want to put that on y'all to sit and to do hours and hours of this. And then too, like I say, during the week, I can't do 4 or 5 hours, but on the weekend I absolutely can. So this weekend, tomorrow and Sunday, I'm gonna start. I want to start between 8 and 9, and then we just go for maybe like 4 or 5 hours, try to get caught up. But my plan is to get caught up before the 15th. Honestly. Who being left out? Real man, you can see here we go. Who being left out, man? Truth, are you coming back later? I am. And it's most likely I gotta get with Trey. I think Trey may have a live schedule for later. I was gonna do a sleepover.
A sleepover. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, we do sleepovers on weekend, girl.
Shout out. And that's exactly what I'd be doing, sleeping.
Yeah, it's gonna be a real good one tonight. Leah, and I think it's gonna end up being a sleepover.
Dang.
I mean, that means it's gonna start. It just means it's gonna start a little later.
Mm-hmm.
It's the weekend fun. Can't you stay up with us?
First of all, hold up. First of all, turn down the volume.
Dang, gone, man.
Second of all, it's Friday. I worked all damn week. I'm tired.
You should get a burst of energy on Fridays.
No, I wish I could. Especially September is bad.
Yeah, I know.
We real busy, so yeah. I'm gonna try. I promise.
try to come on. I gotta, like I said, I gotta get with Trey and see
What's
he doing.
gonna be your commentary? Because if you talking about Trey, I don't trust it.
If I'm talking about Trey, what you mean?
I thought you meant talking to Trey to be on your panel. Huh?
You talking about Trey being my commentary?
No, being up on the panel with your ass.
No. I was saying talking about if he was going live.
Oh, gotcha.
Being his baby paid sick and stuff, he may not even go. And then, he gets tired on the weekends. He get real lazy on the weekends, and I know he probably listens. But yeah, that's what I mean when I say I gotta get with Trey.
Oh, okay, because I don't trust you two together.
Wait a minute now. I'm gonna act up. It's the weekend, baby. I definitely
Oh,
gonna act up.
Lord, what you gonna be talking about?
Oh, we're gonna be
Melissa?
talking about. Oh, damn! I ain't gonna get no spoiler alert for. Why you
Oh,
keep
I'm
asking
sorry.
me?
Okay,
Because I
okay,
want
okay.
to tell it, but then I don't want to tell it. You gonna
Okay,
see when
don't tell it.
you
Don't
gonna
tell
see
it.
when I schedule it. I'm gonna schedule it. You'll see.
Okay. The Lord have mercy. I gotta
Y'all,
choose. I gotta choose my battles wisely.
y'all. Next week. Though honest and true, we're gonna start doing commentary on some new people. I got a whole line up for next week. I am starting some series, some little mini series and stuff, and we're gonna get into some new folk. Okay, so it's gonna listen. We finna do the damn thing. We finna deep into deeper waters. Okay,
Mm,
so
okay.
that should be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, y'all, we're gonna get out of here. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for supporting these lives, this content that matters. I honestly do appreciate it. I want y'all to have a blessed, beautiful rest of the day. Okay, y'all be safe, be blessed, never stressed. And I'll see y'all later. Look at everybody talking about sleep on.
Oh Lord. I'm
I
gonna
went.
try to do the sleepover shoot. I'm gonna go to sleep.
Like somebody said, just take a nap, fun. I'm gonna take me one.
I can't because I'm about to go get my hair done. So
Oh, okay. I did that yesterday, so I'm good. So I love y'all. I appreciate every one of y'all. Like I said, that support this content that matters. Thank you so much, Fun, for gracing the panel as always. Thank you, D Truth. Trey is fired again. Damn it. No, he's not fired this time because baby.
wait a minute.
He's not fired this time.
Oh, you know what? Truth from Great Go.
Why? What happened?
Oh God.
What happened?
The truth.
What
What the
he
hell
did?
did I complain about,
She
man?
not complaining.
Oh my God.
D
I
Truth.
can't win for
No, why
losing.
you let D Truth get you? He does it for.
I can't win for losing.
Just ignore his ass. Just ignore him.
I can't
That's what
win
he
for
doing.
losing. But you know what? I'ma chill. I ain't even gonna do it on your part. I'ma wait till his ass go live.
Ooh. Now, who birthday is it? Serious? Who birthday? I think it was it serious?
Oh, it's Virgo season. Who's the
I think
Virgo
it
in
was
the house?
serious. Serious birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday again, serious. Happy birthday, beautiful. I got you tonight. I need to see you tonight in the house if you still listening or catch the replay. But we're gonna get out of here, y'all, so I can enjoy my Friday evening before I have to come back. Look at Mad. I think he had help in the sun. No, that could be possible, Mad. Yep. But y'all be good, and I'll see y'all later on. Okay. Um,
And I
y'all make
got you,
sure
D Truth. I got you, man.
y'all y'all make sure y'all check my community wall for all our families uploads and stuff that I share out. Please click on them and support. Also, Flexi got some new stuff over on the Facebook. I shared a couple of things as well. And I'll go more into that tonight, more in depth with the whole Facebook thing tonight. But with that being said, it's the 10th. Oh, okay, Sonya, it's Sunday then. Okay, happy early birthday series.
I
All
know
right,
what
y'all.
it is, clown. You infatuated with me. I
He
know
may
what
be.
it is.
He
Yeah.
may be. He may be like the two kindergartners, boy and the girl, and the boy quits on the girl.
Well,
Because he
guess what? Guess what? Access denied.
damn. Well, the truth, she knocked you out. We out of here. True Silver State Gang stand up, and I will see y'all later on tonight. Okay.
Bye.
Bye, fun. With that being said, we out, y'all. Y'all be good.
Access my regular. I'm talking. Takes my better now. Oh, takes my better now. Oh, way better now. Access my regular. I'm talking. Takes my better now. Oh, takes my better now. It's my regular, I'm talking things for better. Oh, things for better. Way better. It's my regular, I'm talking things for better. Oh, things for It's my regular, I'm talking things for better. Oh, things for better. Way better. It's my regular, I'm talking things for better. Oh, I